Well, good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Morning Glow. Welcome to another episode of The Morning Glow. Got a great broadcast lineup for you today. You know what it is. This is Black Friday. We talk about everything that's going on in and around your community, what's going on, how it's going on, who is going on with. We have this conversation now. We called it Black Friday, but I don't want nobody to get caught up on the name because if you're black, white, orange, polka dot, purple, or lily stripe with pink lit mix and speckles and whatever on you, you still can call in and be a part of the
Unicorns
conversation.
are real.
Yeah, unicorns are real. Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. I'm not important. I'm just a question asker. My name is Raheem. I'm gonna go around and say good morning to everybody. Ibrahim, good morning, sir. How you
Good
doing
morning
this
to the
morning?
Most High. Good morning.
Good deal. Good deal. Captain Leonard, good
Good,
morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
good morning, Raheem, the Morning Glow fam.
Cap. Hey, Curtis. Curtis over there. Out of B
Yeah,
more.
what up? What up, baby? What up? What up? What up? What up? What up? What up, world?
There you go. Good deal. Good deal. I want to say good morning to Roy. We got Roy in with us early this morning. Roy, definitely good to have you with us. Definitely appreciative that you came and joined us this morning. I thank you for that. And everybody else that's going to join us. And I want to let you know that you can also be a part of the conversation. It's very simple. Very simple. All you have to do is give us a call. 508-924-3521. 508-924-3521. Now, I got to ask this question. Let me come to you with this. There's a conversation going on right now about the situation that happened in Texas with the school shooting. There's been videos that's been surfacing that say that the police officers stood by while this man was inside the building for 40 minutes, shooting and killing people. And they stood by, and a lot of people are speculating that they were afraid to quote unquote do their jobs. Leonard, what do you say to that?
I don't say nothing about it.
Mm-hmm.
That's somebody's opinion
Mm-hmm.
of why they
Well,
didn't go in.
Well, the video shows that they did not go in, whether it's opinion or not. They didn't go in the building. They
Well,
showed the video showed
well,
that they
they,
was out there.
well, the thing about it is they didn't go in the building. Now, whose issue is that? What was the
Mhm.
problem? Why didn't they go in the building? That's for those. What is so off-putting to me is the fact that the way the media tells a story
Mhm.
before they get all the facts.
Mhm.
We don't know what those people were doing or why they didn't go in. It has to be investigated why. They should say why.
Mhm.
Because that would be the truth. Did they say that they were scared?
Well, my thing is like a lot of times, and this is one of the things that does go on. A video is worth 1,000 words. Sometimes, if you actually
Hmm.
sit there and you see and you watch the video, I've watched the video, I've
Hmm.
seen the video, and I've seen that. Now, if a certain individual, and it takes a very special person, it takes a very special person to be a police officer to run toward the emergency when everybody else is running away from the emergency. These individuals did not do that. These individuals stood right out there with everybody else. Now, can I sit here and say that they was afraid or they were scared? I can't say that. But what I can say is they did not act on it. They did not do what they're paid to. They're paid to protect and serve. And I didn't see any protection or serving with them standing out there with everybody else while this lunatic is inside the building shooting people.
Right. So I mean, there's obviously a problem with law enforcement, isn't there?
They're with that part. Now I'm not gonna talk about law enforcement with a wide spoon because there are some great officers out there, and I know a few. I'm friends with quite a few. That's great officers, so I'm not gonna say that.
But this
But
conversation ain't about the
with that
great officers, is it?
it's about that element that did not do what they're paid to do, and that is to protect and serve.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. You got to wear that shoe. I don't
Mm,
care what people think. You're gonna have to wear that shoe. You're a
mm,
police officer.
yeah, yeah.
It don't matter good or bad. You're a police officer.
Hmm.
Are those police officers fired today?
Well, no. To
Okay.
answer your question, no, they're not fired
Okay.
yet. But the chief did do a interview on CNN. Well, it was not just on CNN, but I saw it on CNN where he was saying he's really looking into this thing. He and like you said, he wants to do the full investigation. But he did say in that it's not looking good for those officers. He said it's not looking real good for them.
Right. Because the only thing you can do is punish these officers. So let's see if you do that.
Hmm. Hmm.
Then that'll
Wow.
truly be a testament to the fact on whether or not law enforcement understands their job and their role.
So you think there's a possibility that these officers would not be fired, suspended, or anything?
Well, in my police department, they would be.
Absolutely.
I can't say how they run their police department over there because they got problems over there. We see. This is the point that I'm making when I talk about things that you can do. We mentioned things that we have to address as it relates to law enforcement protecting schools. Is this how you do it? I don't think so.
No, no. Hold right there for a second, Lynn. I don't think so at all. Curtis, what's on your heart, man? And you probably saw the video as well. What is on your heart concerning this? Because certain individuals, and they take a very special person. I tell people all the time, I have great respect for police officers as well, because they take a very special person to be a police officer and be a good one and run toward the danger when everybody else is running away. These officers, Curtis, did not display that. What's on your heart? Curtis?
You know, Raheem?
Yes, sir.
I'm right here, bro. I'm processing a little slow. Raheem? I completely agree with both you and Leonard. But I also want to say this. It takes a special kind of person to get up and go in the classroom and work with so many different personalities and spirits every day. Take a special kind of person to run down a hall because there's been a cold flu and try and save a life. It's your Hippocratic oath. But you let a nurse not respond to a cold flu. And she's directly responsible for that patient. There's a chance that she will lose her license, as well as even go to jail for neglect and abuse. The simple fact is the fact that they stood outside, knowing that there were little kids in that building, said to me that, you know what? For the most part, if it wasn't your people, you didn't care. You had no care, you had no concern. And then to add extreme insult to injury, knowing what the situation is, what gives you the unmitigated gall to handcuff them parents? Everybody's standing around with an AR-15 or an M16A1, M16A2. I even seen one person carrying an M4. They just standing around. One of the parents told the police, man, take the vest off. Give it to me. I'll go in. You don't want to go in, I'll go in. Give me the vest. We have, it is in my opinion, and I'm like you, I have some really, really good friends who are law enforcement. On all levels. I have a friend that was supposed to work on January 6th, but he had taken a day. What we have right now is law enforcement that is not enforcing the law, they're enforcing their will. And that is something totally different.
Exactly.
That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to hit you with the joke clock. That's why I want to throw them out. And that's all I'm going to say.
Ibrahim, talk to me, brother.
Go
ahead.
It's all y'all have a different perspective, and it's good because I'm fleshing out everything that everybody heard and everything everybody's seen. Now, there was a significant amount of time, but the two police officers was wounded that had entered into the building, I understand, and he held them at bay to one of the entrance locations, right, until the SWAT team came in, a professional SWAT team came in and through the back. And one of them was a border control agent who had the armor. A lot of them didn't have body armor suitable for rifles. You know, it's a difference between having a vest on and a body armor. Yeah, they had steel plates in there. You know, I mean, you know, and well, you know, I could say they were scared. They were cautious to go in. They didn't know how many people in there. Number one, they heard a lot of gunshots. Right? They know they were killing the children. They didn't know where to enter at that might bring more harm. But some classrooms did get away. You know what I mean? And they helped assist them get away. But it's that one incident. It was so horrific to hear. I could imagine. They say some of the kids were shot so bad they can't even recognize them. You know what I mean? That's why they're doing the DNA with the parents. So it's so many working parts to that. And I don't know. You know, I've been in a firefight before, but I've never been in a situation like that. You know, I can imagine. And I got great grandchildren, for God's sake. And I seen my babies, you know, come up with infants. And, you know, I was a child once. I could imagine being in that classroom, what the kids might have been feeling and thinking.
Exactly.
And reaching out. But, you know, I right now, I don't want to point the finger at nobody, right? You know what I mean? I just think that there's always better ways, and ways that main thing I think we should do is look at the mental illness all across the board. There's nowhere in a blue state or red state that well, red states mostly I see where there's mental care for people, where people, man, like the whole nation is under some type of a zombie apocalypse thing, right? We need to really get into trying to bring some type of care for people's mental state, you know, because we listen to all kinds of bizarre things. As soon as Trump opens his mouth, everybody run to him. As soon as some other, Ted Cruz, he said one door. That made about as much sense as a bull with tits, right? You know what I mean? And but everybody's so emotional tied up in this. So I don't want to blame anybody right now. I say, but there's a lot of research we have to do. And I'm not a fan of the police officer, but we all everywhere need some type of security protection of a force to protect us, whatever you call it, you know. So.
And
But
right.
are they doing? I'm coming to you, Leonard. What are they doing that? If they're gonna stand outside that building while children, we're talking about children, Ibrahim, or it being slaughtered down, being shot and killed, man. Are they doing what they're supposed to do? Are they protecting and serving us?
Like I say, I don't want to point fingers, but that was a horrible day for everybody. You know what I mean? And just to think about it. And the police are there to do that. And if you expect a fireman to run into a fire,
Yeah, exactly.
Police run in there. But then there are a lot of there are other people's lives and other tactical situations. Suppose they had ran in there and they didn't know how many shooters it was and start returning fire, right? How many other kids would have been killed in that? You know, a lot of people are killed, believe it or not, in crossfire from the police officer. They blame it on the criminal, but that's happened over and over again. And I would hate to see that everybody in that school, I don't know how many classrooms it was, everybody in that school was killed. You know what I mean? Some people were able, they did help some people able to escape, and some of the teachers, and the priorities that you must have in a school. I have a sister that was a principal once at Redan and here in Atlanta, right? At Redan and Decatur. But what do you do? How do you train for this? How you train the community, right? Suppose everybody just start running and shooting. You know what I mean? The police officers might be cross shooting at each other. You know, you don't know where the fire's coming from. That's a very intense situation when you get in a firefight. You see, you know, bullets are coming from everywhere. Everybody's hollering and screaming. You don't know what. You don't know what. You don't know what to think. All you
my
know
solution.
is, go ahead.
But my solution, and I understand what you're saying. I'm certainly not gonna say that you're wrong, because that's your stance on it. So you know you're right to have your stance.
I'm waiting to know more.
Yeah, but my thing is, I'm always on the side of do, instead of sit around and do nothing, do something though, because these are children that are in that building that are being slaughtered. You know, I mean, something is better than just standing there. If you just stand there, you know they're gonna get killed. You know if you just stand there and outside that building, with all your training and all your expertise that you're supposed to have, but you stand outside that building, we know they're gonna get killed. But if somebody take an effort, like Kurt said, I heard that too. There was a fella say, "Look here, man, give me your vest. I'll go in myself. Give me your vest. If you want to stand here, stand here. Give me your vest. I go in myself." But we have to do something. Go ahead, Leonard.
We also have to point out that this is a huge failure for law enforcement. This
Yes.
ain't about
Yes.
a. This ain't no good cop conversation.
Yeah.
It ain't no bad cop conversation.
Absolutely.
It's a conversation about law enforcement's inability to do their job. Now,
Mhm.
the stories coming out paint different pictures of what happened. Someone said this young man was in a car wreck prior to him entering the building, and that the police still, for some reason, were not able to stop him from going into that building.
Yeah. Yeah. It
What
was.
what but they walk but some police officers will walk up on a truck with some domestic workers, ladies in them, and
Yep.
shoot that truck and fill it full of holes and
Exactly.
everything else. When you get out and look like you might have a gun, they'll put 60, 70 shots in your body.
Exactly. Exactly. Come
But they
on.
confronted this individual
Mm-hmm.
on his way to kill children at a school,
Yep.
supposedly.
Mm-hmm.
Was in a car crash before he got into school now.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, man. What happened? Um, there's going
Yep.
to be some other issues that come up about why these officers did not engage that shooter. And one,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to tell you, it is not going to look good, especially when you look at the area, who the
Yep.
victims were, and who the
Mm-hmm.
police were.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, I'm just putting it out there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the chief is saying or the sheriff or whatever is saying today,
Mm-hmm.
because the facts are still coming in.
Yeah.
Because when y'all you talking about these police officers, what about the lying?
Mm-hmm.
Police officers shouldn't lie.
Yep. Yep.
That should get you fired anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But look at what they are allowed to do.
Cover up. Cover up.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So that
Yeah.
in itself lets you know how unjust they can be.
Mm-hmm.
Not even without this shooting.
Lynn, I'm gonna tell you something, man. And I know, and I worked. Y'all know I worked for the Department of Corrections
Mhm.
for 10 years. I worked there for 10 years, and I know how officers, man. I sit there and I watch them. I said, man, y'all ain't right, man.
No.
They say, Alchemy, go ahead, Alchemy, go, because they didn't want me to be in there because I saw something would happen. Something would happen inside the institution, man. And they'll get in there with the lieutenants and the captains and stuff like that, and they'll doctor up the report that they're going to write, that they're going to push forward for people to see. No,
And
don't
I
say that. Don't
and
say
I
that.
mentioned
Take it
that.
out. Add this in. Yeah, add this in. Take that out, man. You don't want to say that. And they'll sit there and coach you on
Yes.
what you need to
Yes.
do, what you need to say, how you need to say it, so that when
Yes.
somebody else look at it, they'll say,
Yep.
"Well, this is what happened from that report." But
They
that's not the
often
report. Is not significant as to what happened. Well, go
they
ahead, Lynn.
of they often edit police reports
Yeah, all the time.
and everything else. This is why people need to understand the importance of the federal law that was passed.
Mm-hmm.
Because of what activists has been fighting for is criminal justice reform, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so upon the executive order was signed by the president related to well, it's called, I believe, the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, but look
Mm-hmm.
it up under Advancing Executive Accountable Policing and Criminal Justice Practices to Enhance Public Trust and Public Safety.
Mm-hmm.
This is what is being demanded now.
Yeah.
If you realize how crappy you do your job, you ever been to McDonald's,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
every person there ain't. You can tell that's gonna be where they elevation for the rest of their life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And their customer service is indicative of their low education and
Mm-hmm.
everything else, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of your police officers ain't no better.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
give them a gun and a badge, and they ain't doing their job with no more zeal than a person working at McDonald's.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Wow. 508-924-3521. 508-924-3521. Give us a call. We'd love to have your opinion on what we're talking about this morning. And whether you agree, disagree. And I want to let you all know we are not against our police officers. We're not, we don't, not like we actually we love police. I have some, like I said earlier, and a couple of said we have some very good friends that are police officers or in law enforcement. So this is not a beat down or a bash of police officers. This is a beat down and a bash on those particular police officers that stood by and watched as these kids were slaughtered over in Texas and did nothing, did not go inside the building. Can I say that they was afraid or whatever? I can't say that. But what I can say is they did not act.
And what you can do is you can go look at the other specifics of this particular police force.
Exactly.
And their budget, the
Mm-hmm.
fact that they supposedly have a police dedicated to the school system, police dedicated to the school system, a
Mm-hmm.
district police force for
Yeah.
this very issue.
Mm-hmm.
They double their security budget on this public safety group.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Bobby Rule said, "What about the people? What about the people that got shot down in Philadelphia? You talking about the people that got shot down in Philadelphia? Absolutely. There's so much.
Right.
There's so much going on, man. There's so much going on, and everybody, the phone lines are open. Give us a call, man. 508-924-3521. Let's go to the phone line. Got quite a few callers on the line. I think the first one on the line was Tucson. Tucson, good morning. How you doing this morning?
All right. Good morning.
Tucson, I never know where you're gonna go, brother.
Wait a minute.
Yes,
wait
sir.
a minute. Just wait a minute.
Let's wait a minute. Yes, sir.
$3. What is that?
Huh? Oh, that's the button. That's a button, man. I got buttons down. I make buttons, personalize them.
Let's carry on.
Okay.
That can't be. I ain't gonna. Okay, we'll talk about it.
Okay.
Anyway, go ahead.
What's on your heart about these police officers, man, that stood around and waited. They say for 40-something minutes while what is
Who's he?
say it again in the shooting in Texas.
They say Jesus was John the Baptist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I never did pay no attention to what they say.
Mm-hmm.
Some say. And then another thing about you can't just run in. And unfortunately, we would like them to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But you got to assess. Is that a good word?
Yes, it is.
Situation.
Mm-hmm.
You got to see what's going on.
For 40 minutes, Tucson?
Just like
for 40 minutes?
Yeah, for 40 minutes. Yeah.
Wow.
I guess. I don't know. Social media, I don't pay no attention to social media and news.
Mm-hmm. But see,
they liars.
But you absolutely. But my thing is, there's a video out there that actually showed them standing outside, and like Curtis and I said, there was one individual that he had a weapon as well. He said, "Man, if you're talking to the police, he said, give me your vest. I'll go in because evidently, y'all ain't gonna do nothing. Give me your vest.
Oh, really?
I'll go in myself. Just take your vest off and give it to me." Police officers standing outside the building. Man, the video is showing all this. And the chief, he had an interview yesterday on CNN. Well, like I said, I see CNN. He might have been on all over the networks, but I saw it on CNN. But he was talking about, it's really not looking good for the police officers because they're paid. Yeah. And Tucson, we got to understand, man, it takes a very special individual. Like I said earlier, I said many times during this broadcast, it takes a very special individual to run towards the danger when everybody else is running away from it. But that's the job they chose. They selected to be police officers and to serve and protect. Does that not include those children in Texas in that school?
Well, it should, especially them.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Especially them.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't. But I remember, at least I know some police officers that became police officers because they used to get bullied in school.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was a counterattack, I guess, counter of their experiences as a child.
Mm-hmm.
So they just get to cover themselves, they hide behind a badge.
Yeah. Wow.
Everybody's, just like anything else. Just because you got a badge, that don't mean you're a good police officer. And it don't mean you're a bad one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I just hate the situation that come out of it. But I'm just saying that before you run into any situation, you're supposed to assess it to see what's actually going on. How long does that take?
Mm-hmm.
Especially when it's children, it shouldn't take that long.
Exactly. And that's my point exactly. That's definitely my point.
Yeah, it shouldn't take that long.
Bobby Rule said in Texas, they do not have police officers, they have Texas Rangers. I'm trying to read it. It's a Rangers, don't they have a good squad up there? I don't know, but what I do know is they didn't do anything. That's what happened in Florida, Florida Mayweather. Okay. Bobby, call in, brother. 508-924-3521. 508-924-3521. Rico, you was next on the line, brother. What's going on? Good morning. How you doing this morning?
Not like I can complain at all, man. Welcome to a new day, everybody.
Hey, welcome to you as well. And I'm glad you're here, brother.
I can't complain, man. I can't complain at all. Glad I'm here too.
You know what I'm talking about. You know exactly what I'm talking about. But
yeah.
What do you say about these police officers or like Bobby said on the line? He said Rangers or whatever the case. But these individuals that did not go into the building to help those 40 minutes, they stood out there, man, and watched basically while these children were being slaughtered, killed, shot down. Man, to serve and to protect and serve. They didn't do that, Rico. They didn't do that. What's on your heart, brother?
Well, it just goes to show everybody the reality of things that we have to go through, and what it boils down to is everybody is human.
Mm-hmm.
See, in a perfect world, you know, I'm thinking about all these situations, and now we're finding another problem with what happened with that school shooting. In the perfect world, we wouldn't have to worry about somebody going to get guns at 18, or somebody being confused enough or mentally challenged enough to kill their family, shoot their grandmother, and go to the school and do what he did. In a perfect world, you would think, with the assumption of you being a cop or a Texas Ranger, especially if you like Texas Walker, you expecting some gung-ho hero.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to be honest with you, that is one of the qualities that you would expect from somebody that's in law enforcement, or what they call them. They call them another name now since 9/11, rescue workers or something like that. That they honor all the time. I like to honor our rescue workers. They're so brave and charismatic and this and that. They're our heroes. They stick their necks out on the line and do this and that. But then you see they'll put their knee in the back of your neck for 9 minutes. Or they might shoot you in the back and then say that you tried to take their gun, but just so happens somebody happened to record it and see that you just shot them in the back or you was a lazy coward. Or they might tell you, when you see somebody doing something wrong, like the police, just sit there and watch and record it instead of throwing trash cans at them like the guy did in California. You know, see, it's like people are going to interact in different ways in different situations. You know what I'm saying? In California, we saw some people actually interrupt the police trying to arrest this guy. They came to his defense. So that really shows you that sometimes the citizens are more courageous and brave than the police.
Yes, sir.
But see, those are qualities that you would expect from your rescue workers, to be brave, to go above and beyond, to do the things that everybody else won't do. Even as far as putting your mouth on somebody else's mouth that might not have good teeth, but you want to give them CPR to save them. Instead of making that judgment call and saying, ugh, I don't know if I'm going to put my mouth on his, man. He might just have to die.
Wow.
And see, that's what happened with with the policemen. Somebody said, well, you know what? I don't know if I want to run up and down. That boy got guns like we got. And I don't want to die. Let's see if we can wait and assess the situation. But it's an indictment on law enforcement. See, those qualities that are required to be a hero and be a soldier comes with being brave. It comes with being courageous. And we see now that we have more courageous people in the street. Look, yesterday I saw citizens spring into action to rescue a woman. They were there before the rescue workers. They were there, regular citizens. I've saved so many lives, they need to pay me some rescue work. And I ain't just talking about talking people out of suicide or being out a shoulder to lean on. I mean, actually jumping in the pool, saving people. And when I didn't know how to swim, different things. So, you know, it takes a courageous person to step out and put their neck on the line when life is in danger. And everybody ain't courageous, even though they wear that uniform or wear that badge. They ain't honest, they ain't courageous, even though they might teach in that school. They're not honest and they're not sincere. People are human, what it really boils down to. And it really goes to show you why the judicial system has to be reformed, because we are in a situation right now where the people that are supposed to be fighting for the vulnerable, protecting and serving, will get a video of somebody shooting somebody in the middle of the road and hide it for 2 months and then inform these people of how far in the investigation they are in protecting them and keeping them from going to jail for murdering these people. That's part of the judicial system too. So it's an indictment because some of those guys, I would say, if you were a cop, would you have run in there? And I probably would have.
I would, yeah.
But I know a lot of people wouldn't have.
Exactly. Let me go to Toya with a T. Toya with a T, good morning. How you doing this morning? Cassandra, come to you next.
Get married. How y'all doing?
Hey, doing good. Toya with a T, we got a situation going on, man. We got a situation going on here. These police officers, to serve and protect, and serve, however you want to say it, refuse for up to 40 minutes, or a little more than 40 minutes, to go in and help these children that was being slaughtered by that scumbag over there in Texas. I was gonna say gentleman, but I'm not gonna call him a gentleman. That scumbag over there in Texas. Now, how in the world could one? It's so bad, man. And me and Kurt talked about it this morning too. It's so bad that there was a individual, like Rico was just saying, there was an individual that said, went to the police officer and said, "Give me your vest. If you're not gonna go in, give me your vest. I have a weapon. I'll go in." And they didn't give him. They didn't do that. They sit there, and all these children, 19 children, was killed. Something could have been done. Something could have been children in elementary school to serve and protect. Did they do that?
Right. Well, I measure everything about in life on how I would handle things, and if outside entity wouldn't have the courage that I would have, then I get to disregard them and do what I need to do, right? And with that, I would have too. Badge or no badge. Everybody got to die, and I don't got no problem dying for somebody if it's the right thing, especially some kids. But everybody's not me, and I can't be everywhere. However, I want to talk about the fact that the state of New York has overlooked the fact that everybody gets to bear arms constitutionally by not allowing people to bear arms in that state. And on top of that, in the school system, they also have a school safety system to be able to protect against the people or the kids in the schools that already can't have guns in that state, to make sure that everyone's safety is ensued. So with me knowing that this is possible, it's like, what's the issue? Is it staged? Why would you not go in there? Because it was expected? Is it a point that, this conspiratorial theory, they say that they staged some things to happen so that way they can move forward with the so-called whatever it is that they say they're going to do with the NRA? Because how could you be in a position of authority, such as an officer, law enforcement, military, signed on to protect people, and not protect people, especially kids?
Yeah,
unless
especially
there's
kids.
Another hidden agenda behind it. Okay, let's conspiratorially think about what if it was staged because they were more Latin American people. Maybe it wasn't my kids. Maybe it can be a plot from other racist point of views. You know what I'm saying? An attack that they're not being honest about, just like we spoke about with Samuel. And again, just thinking about the state of New York, which I lived in for years, how they don't allow a regular citizen to have a gun, and how they have protection in schools. What's the issue after Sandy Hook? So now, again, it makes me think that did those people have something to do with setting that up? Because why not? How do you not? I just want to go back. I thought school doors were locked when we were coming up and things of this nature.
It's supposed to be.
And I thought that we had security to see and monitor in cameras. Are we not doing our jobs? And after the boys walk through, none of us are doing our jobs with everything that we know is possible. And as humans, we know we can do more, but we're not doing it. So at least we to believe that we are the ones commit.
Exactly.
As long as it's not your kids, you're willing to do it to prove a point, because it just does not make sense with everything that we know we can do in America, and we're doing nothing in this situation. They got to be the ones causing it to happen.
Wow. And that's the thing, man. It just rips my heart out. I'm going to go to Cassandra. Rips my heart out, man. To serve and protect. Now, again, we're not here at all. None of us. I don't think none of us are here at all to bash police officers. We're not here to do that. but we're here to shine a light on those police officers in Texas that did not do or stand up to the responsibility that they have sworn that they're going to do, to serve and protect. Not to the point where you have children, elementary age children, being shot down and killed by some lunatic. Cassandra, good morning. How are you doing this morning?
Good morning.
Cassandra, I know your heart. Talk to me, sis. Where are you at right now with this? They 40 something minutes. They stood outside that building while these children was being shot down, slaughtered, and killed. Police officers. Cassandra, what's on your heart?
I'm probably gonna sound like the odd man out right now, but to a degree, I understand what was happening because they have protocols when it comes to running into a building with them. Then you have chain of command of people saying don't enter the building. We don't know. I don't know. I mean, maybe y'all know. I haven't because I haven't, read the paperwork or anything. Who was saying what? Because the only reason that I believe, because I love law enforcement. I have lots of great. Most of them, 90-something% of them are committed people that really care about their community.
Mm-hmm.
So they have people that say, stand down, don't nobody into the building, whoever that person was, because that's the only way that they would not go in, because there are assessment protocols that they do. Everybody knows that. That they cannot rush in until those people at the top say, okay, everybody go in, or, we're going to send, the SWAT team in or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, it may have taken a long time, but we need to know who was giving the command, and they have to follow. They are law enforcement. They have to follow the commands of whoever was the lead at that time. So I haven't seen any paperwork. I don't know who was telling who to do what. The only way that they would not go in is if they have been told stand down.
I can see that. I can see that. I can see that point as well. But the part that's still that's still pulling at my heart is, and excuse me, maybe they were told to stand down, but during that process, lives are being lost. Lives are being
I
lost.
understand.
Children.
They didn't know what was going on. Obviously, if they're outside the building, they don't know what's going on inside. They know, hey, shots are fired in a school.
Yes.
So everybody is there. But they don't know what is happening inside the school unless somebody was, telling them, step by step, okay, he just shot 5 kids. He just, I don't know. I don't want to condemn anybody until I know all the facts. That means we see the transcripts are here, the transcripts of what was being told to these officers while they were out there, because I cannot believe that officers would stand there and not go in knowing the kids were being killed and just stand outside the school and do nothing. That's not what they do. They protect themselves. And my y'all know my nephew was killed by a police officer last year.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not gonna be, oh yeah, police, y'all great, no. I believe most of them are great people. And then you got a few rogues. So I don't know what happened, but I don't want to indict them until I hear all the facts.
Wow.
That's just me.
And that, like I say, like I was talking with Ibrahim earlier, that's your opinion, and you're entitled to have your opinion and feel the way that you want to feel. I would never tell you how to feel about a situation. That's your individual right to feel the way that you feel. At the end of the day, though, my thing is, man, I just look at the kids that was lost. I just look at 19 children shot down and killed, man. That's the part that has me. Ibrahim, what's on your heart, brother?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked me. I was trying to find out how many students were in school, because like the whole picture, we get all the intense parts, right?
Mm-hmm.
As we should. But information wise, but see what happens is now we get into the fact we're talking about, more people are talking about eliminate the guns. You know what I mean? And not getting down to some key issues about the mental health of people, right? And what's the old saying? I hate to even say, I don't even say it today, but people, people need to know how to use weapons, right? I feel like the police come after the fact when they're called, right? Or they should be like that.
Yeah.
They're not there 24 hours a day. The community's there, the family's there, and everything. So I think that it's more important that we learn how to protect ourselves and not depend on other people to protect themselves. I say that all the time, and I just hate that this time is going to, the political outrage is already.
Ibrahim, we losing you, brother. We losing you, brother. Leonard, why you get his sound back? Why you get his sound back together, Leonard? What's on your heart, brother?
Well, it's not a whole lot because I don't allow my heart to stay too long in certain places, and this is one of them. The issue is they failed to do what they were supposed to do. The head officer admits it, and the senator that represents these people admits it. They have issues there, and like you say, the facts of the matter will come out. But if the facts of the matter is that law enforcement missed their first opportunity to stop this gunman prior to him going in that school, once in that school, their response still was not adequate. And then I believe at the end of the day, somehow the U.S. Border Patrol intervened. That's an issue with law enforcement.
Yeah.
They failed all around to the point where, as we mentioned before, how it relates and what is going to be done. Federal government went on and pushed through the George Floyd Policing Act. Part of that act deals with a lot of the inconsistencies and things related to law enforcement in these various situations and how they engage. So if you can't hold me responsible for a policy or procedure that you don't follow, what if there was no officer there present? But I mean, is there an officer assigned to that school? Was
Yeah.
that person there or not? Why was it? Why couldn't they? Why couldn't they take this individual into custody, supposedly, before he even got to the school when he crashed
Exactly.
supposedly the vehicle?
Yep.
So we know that in certain instances, law enforcement engagement is very different. It's not some one way to do things. They have their own rules and regulations and all these types of things. However, what we want to make sure is that they understand what they need to fix and how to get it done. And this goes for every law enforcement agency. What are you doing? Okay, you've seen this shooting here in Uvalde. Okay, what is your police department doing as it relates to protecting schools? Has someone in your in the agency proposed a new response to this type of violence? How often do these officers get training on this type of issue?
Yeah.
You got to prepare. If your job is that, you have to prepare to do it. Show me the protocol for it. Show me what's written and your procedures and how you train these officers in situations like this. Do you even have one? See, people take it for granted that the police and law enforcement agencies are doing what they are supposed to do. But we've seen too many instances where they're not. Something simple as reporting the types of violence that you are dealing with to the federal government. Every police agency doesn't do that.
Exactly.
Every police agency doesn't require to wear body cameras. Still to this day. So there's lots of work to be done to prevent these types of things. And we just need to insist that these people that y'all paying money to are doing it.
Exactly. 508-924-3521. 508-924-3521. Ibrahim, you got cut off, brother. You didn't want able to finish your thought. Want to finish your thought?
Yeah, I do. I think that what we'd be prepared for is the intensity that everybody's going to use in this political atmosphere to try to change and complete the narrative. I think what we're doing is good things. You know, we're actually saying what needs to be said as citizens. But this goes back to the people of color matters. You know, every day we hear about some person of color, especially Mexicans, brown people, Hispanics, mostly us, black people, or different types of black people, black Hispanics. We're being, you know, we're treated in a different light. And did you see I saw the way the guy arrested that killed the 10 people up there just a little while ago up there in Buffalo. Somehow, you know, this is taking a different seat, of course, right? These were children in the classroom doing what they do. And I was trying to, and you cannot even find out how many number of people that were in that school at the time. So I think that in some cases, off the way, they did do their job. In some places, they didn't do their job. You know, but overall, it was a show. You know, and I think that we could do a lot better about enforcement. But it all starts with the community and ends with community. You know, if the community is not involved with their police force, and the police don't have accountability in their communities, then you have a police state. You know, either way you look at it. You know, they go what's good for them, the police union, the gangsters, the police union, the mafia, the police union, and the benevolent society. They're there for them. They're going to go out for them. But who's there for us when we have encounters with the police force and police department? I think that's one of the main things we got to look at. And the other thing we got, who cares about people of color? Who cares about black and brown people? We don't care about ourselves. You know, there's people out in the streets dying every day in multiple numbers. And we're talking about police and of course these kids. Well, we had about a dozen black kids that have been shot through crossfire or accidental shooting in Atlanta since the first of the year. You know, you can check my city, might be more. But this is what I'm trying to get to. We have to be more involved with our communities. So some things like this will be harder to occur. You know, you can't prevent everything. Should there have been community members? Should there have been some of the parents in there? I say yes. Should we have smaller classes, smaller schools? So should we more? I mean, how much more secure are you going to make a high school? You go to a big city, they look like prisons. They look like prisons, man. I can't tell them between a jail, the Atlanta City jail, and some of the high schools around Atlanta, near the city. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so what are we raising? We're raising convicts from cradle to grave, right? You'll go through the judicial system one way or another, for one reason or another. So I think that we got to have more and more community involvement. And I'm not talking about the church. I'm talking about people in the community, me, you, and everybody else, right? And we all got some investment in this. And yes, this is a very tragedy. And some of the stories are so graphic. We should see these things. They should go into the school.
Good deal.
Go into school and show the bodies.
We got to keep it going, brother. Hold on, brother. We keep it within that 3-minute window, so we got to keep it moving. I'm gonna go to Rosalind, then I'm gonna come to Rico. But let me say this to you: I understand a piece or a part of what you just said, but my thing is, I could be wrong. Y'all correct me. I don't care whether it's black, white, orange, polka dot, lily striped, or whatever. I care for children, and I don't want to see any children get hurt, slaughtered, or having to go through a situation like this. We're talking about children, elementary level children. I don't care. You know, I don't care. You know, I don't care about the race or the not. No, I don't care about all that. I care that they're children and that they're dead now. Rosalind, good morning. How you doing this morning?
Good morning. How y'all doing?
Hey, doing well. So what's on your heart? I know you've been listening. This morning. What's on your heart? Take us off speaker, Rosalind. Take us off speaker. We get a feedback from your speaker. Okay. All right. What's on your heart, sis?
Is that better?
Did you take the speaker off? We can't be on. If you're on speaker, it's gonna be a feedback. Hear that feedback that's going on? Okay, that's much better right there. Good deal. Rosalind.
I may have to get some earphones.
Okay.
You can come back. Just come back to me.
All right, good deal. Rico, what's on your heart, brother?
Man, that's deep what everybody's saying. Man, yeah, that feedback is bad. That's terrible. Man, you know, I think it's a matter of human perception and human expectation. You know, but one point I want to make here is that if one of those children had been one of those cops that was standing outside that school when nobody had to tell him to stand down, they would have went up in there.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing is, as human beings, we hear these titles, and then we heap these honors amongst people and praise them. First responders. And first responders are sort of guilty by association with being praised just as much as soldiers. Because soldiers go and protect our borders and protect us from the enemy and the terrorists and the communists and this and that, and protect our rights. If the Chinese come over here, they're going to kill us. So, we have this perception in our mind that they're protecting us from harm's way. And then we associate that also with police because they get that same level of praise. Mm-hmm. They get that same level of respect, first responders. Oh, we're so glad that you protect and serve. They get honored. Back to blue. They just get all this unconditional support and respect because human beings, they assume that they really ought to protect and serve, but really and truly, they only there to come after the crime to find out who did the crime. The best thing our police department can do, the most consistent things they do is write tickets and bust for drugs. They don't stop a lot of thievery, a lot of robberies. They don't stop a lot of man-to-man crime. And they can't because they ain't there 24 hours to monitor people and say, hey, we see you pulling that gun on that man. We see you walking to that store. They can't. Mm-hmm. So human beings have to finally get to the reality that we have to do more protecting of ourselves. I hate to see it. Sometimes I sound like the boogeyman, but you got to walk around with your head on a swivel. It ain't all peaches and cream over here. It ain't sweet. Mm-hmm. You mess around and walk down the street and think everything good and smooth, and before you know it, you're in the middle of a whole bunch of mess and you the target because you look like a free pick. Mm. You look like a lick. And some people look like leaks and some people just innocent victims. But we still have to have the perception and understand the reality of it is that these people are human beings. Mm-hmm. But we think that just because they're first responders and they are our men in uniform, that they're going to run up that hill and die for a flag just like they would a soldier would. Because they get that same respect. Mm-hmm. Our blue, our first responder. But see, they ain't going to run up that hill and die for you. The soldier probably ain't going to even run up the hill and die for you, but he has been brainwashed to run up that hill and die for that flag or die for the perception, the symbolism of the country and the United States and its honor and democracy. But we ain't running in dying for people. But in the back of our mind as regular citizens, we expect that the first responders will actually be there to protect and serve, but they can't protect you if they ain't there all the time. Mm-hmm. So the reality is that they only there to come and solve the crime. Mm-hmm. They ain't there to protect you. They can't. Mm-hmm. And the sooner we realize that the police really can't protect us, the only thing they can do is come and try to find out who did what. And if we could bring them to justice for being such a bad person or doing what they did. Mm-hmm. Wow. Good. But what they will do, they will act in a sense of urgency when they have a personal stake in it. Mm-hmm. And it might be unconscious behavior, but sometimes it seems like when people look a certain way, police seem to spring into action and act in the most extreme manner that was necessary, like they did with Tamir Rice. Good deal, good deal. Got to keep it moving. We got our Monique with us. Monique, good morning. How you doing this morning? Monique, you there?
Good morning.
Good morning, Monique. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing just fine.
Good, good, good. What's on your heart? I know you've been listening there for a minute. What's on your heart right now?
I was reading up on the shooting that happened. I think what I kind of gauge from it is that they don't have a plan of action when something like that happens. It sounded like they was disorganized, didn't know what to do. And for me, I look at whoever was the leader that was on ground, they probably need to be held responsible, because I'm pretty sure a lot of their, those officers' actions were based off of somebody saying no, and normally, they kind of like the military, they base it off of, whoever's in command. So I think they probably need to get a better plan of action. And also, I kind of agree with what Rico says, because normally when those situations happen, they usually call it in the SWAT team. You know, usually it's some sniper, you know, taking, you know, those, you know, type of, you know, situations, taking those people out. So I just think that, I think it was more so they didn't have a plan. They wasn't trained. They wasn't properly trained in that type of situation. Because I'm thinking it was a small town.
It was.
So they, I just think they wasn't trained right.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. We have another caller from the what we got here from the 443 area code. Joel, is that you? 4443. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Joe.
Hey, Joel, how you doing, man? How you doing this morning?
Good. I'm doing blessed. I'm good. And yourself?
Hey, doing good. Doing good to have you, brother. Good to have you. What's on your heart right now? We're talking about the situation that happened with the police officers not actually going into the building to protect and serve our children. What's on your heart, brother?
I'm going to phrase this a different way. And God forbid if this happens. But what happens if it happens again? These kind of things are becoming too common in the sense that now we have a hard plan and we're looking at blames that pointed the fingers, but we never actually look for the actual fix. Sometimes when these things happen, we're looking at who wasn't on the job or who was on the job or who did not act the way that they should. But how do we prevent things like this? And I believe that this kind of issue is going to become more frequent because our values have changed. We have accepted this kind of lifestyle. So I believe this is just going to be the beginning of more nonsense because we are not holding our ground as far as we give up certain values that we have in the home. Young people has gun walking around. Look to guns for the answer. Don't you think after a while people are going to start shooting the guns? There was a point when we didn't need guns. What happened if we actually get rid of the guns? If we go back to solution, discussion, if we go back to family table, more meetings, more organizations, more leaders that are active in communities, then maybe these things might not happen as much. But I think until we open our eyes, that I'm expecting more of this. And I'm sorry to say, but I'm expecting more.
Wow. And I don't think you're too far off base, brother. I really don't. Kurt, what's on your heart?
The Baltimore brother was pretty much on point. You had 3 mass shootings or 4 mass shootings in less than a week and a half to 2 weeks. The average at out 2 mass shootings per week. Right? But I took some notes, right? I gotta ask, man, why does it seem like everybody is dead on point, but why does it seem like we always give the police the benefit of the doubt? I need to know. Why we always give them the benefit of doubt? We know that they have a history of doing wrong and reporting wrong, right? So I get it. We want to wait for all the information. I get it now. I understand that. Due process is due process. But all at the same time,
would the situation be the same if the shoe was on the other foot? If those was, I hate to make it, I ain't even gonna go there. Would the shoe be on the same if it was on the other foot? That's number one. Number two, I would love to find. I wish Badger was on here right now, because I would love to know the demographics of that police department. I would love to know the demographics from the leadership all the way down to the smallest guy on the totem pole. Three. The other day we talked, and I think you asked a question about where all of this stuff is going. You made a statement about where all this stuff is going on, and how what has to happen for people to make a conscious effort to change it, right? And I wanted to say something then, but we had a lot of people on the show, and I want to say, let this happen in Brentwood or Hollywood or somewhere like a high end of Malibu, or let this happen in Montgomery County, on the high end of Montgomery County. You'll see a totally different situation. And I guarantee you, gavels will start rocking on tape.
30 seconds, Curtis.
But the fact I wanted to say is that we as civilians tend not to understand what is called battlefield analytics and or battlefield. Oh my God, it escapes me. But battlefield analytics. There's a certain form of processing that happens when you have time to prepare. You get a call back that the enemy is 100 miles from you and approaching. But there's what I would call on the spot analytics. Oh, battlefield assessment. That's what it was. I heard somebody use the term assessment. Okay, well, in that particular case, your assessment has to happen in a minute.
Exactly.
That police department for that small town right here, for that small town, had a SWAT. They had a 12-man SWAT. So the fact that you couldn't breach, is crap. You had the first, I'm going to end with this right here. In battlefield analytics, the first thing you're taught about battlefield analytics and battlefield assessment is salute. Do you know what salute means? Do you know what that means? Salute means size, activity, location, uniform, time, and equipment. That's what salute means. So when that school officer or whatever saw this one man go in the door, knowing all the other doors was locked, he saw this one man go in the door. They did not stop him.
Good tip. Gotta move it on, Curtis. Hold that thought, brother. Hold that thought. I want to pull some more people in. Toya with a T, what's on your heart? Sis, talk to me. Cassandra, coming to you next. Toya?
You know, there's a couple of things we need to think about in this instance, right? So let's say we know that this is a small town. Do you know that when you're young and you're 20 and you're angry, it's easier to go run in the school and say, forget the law, I'm going to save them. But when you get 45, got a family and comfortable, you scared to die and you ain't thinking about running up in no school then. That's when the human kick in. You know what I mean? Once you get trained 20 years ago, they've been in a small town. If they never had a murder, they had a murder every 10 years. You're not going to get probably the same effects as if you had someone young from a busy city who's just ready for situations or looking for situations like that, because situations like that don't happen. You know what I mean? It takes a special kind of individual that wants to face certain instances like that. And I think that's kind of hard to do in small rural towns like that. But again, I got to go back to this being the government's fault, because we know that since Sandy Hook that we've had a lot of things that I want to know. Why haven't we had buttons installed in our classrooms? Why haven't we made adjustments to our school system? Why don't we have those automatic locking system doors that they came up with after Sandy Hook? People have invented things to be able to help maybe barricade people out and things of that nature. Why aren't those implemented in schools everywhere? Why don't we have emergency routes done like fire drills? Because we've had more school shootings than fires seem like in school. Well, we doing fire drills. Why aren't we doing these things when it comes to noticing or locating a mass shooter, or even though it's happened? I'm talking about instituted from the federal government, not left for us to be sitting up here and figure out talking about on the phone like we is right now. Instituted by the federal government to protect our students. Why? Why haven't we?
Makes too much sense.
So
Make too much sense.
The conversations that we're having again makes us wonder.
Yeah.
What can we do, the people? A lot of our actions is limited. And if we decided to want to do something, like I said, instead of waiting on the federal government to impose something, then parents could get two parents at a time.
Yep.
Could be up at the school. I'm gonna throw something else out there, right? What if this is where we get comfortable at our job, right? You have an officer that should have been detailing that school, and because this is a small country town, nothing's gonna happen here, and you got your little behind off somewhere with your grown old behind off your detail because you don't think nothing's gonna happen. And here we go. You know what I'm saying? There's so many different instances and so many different truths that can really be hidden in this story that we don't see from the aspect of television and word of mouth, things of that nature, that could have went on in this instance. But from the federal government, after Sandy Hook, what changes have been implemented and enforced from a federal aspect to ensure that we all, as parents, students, and even officers, understand and know how to navigate through and out of these situations? There has been none. And until then, we should not only hold the police officers accountable, but we should hold our state's representatives, as well as our federal government accountable for not having anything in place after Sandy Hook.
Absolutely. Cassandra, I'm coming to you, and Rosalind, I saw you in agreement, so I'm coming to you next. Cassandra, what's on your heart?
Yeah, I'm just going to just throw this in there. Does everyone on here realize that we have the United States, we're always like in second or third place of countries around the world for gun violence, but we're this great nation with all of this, industrial, we're phenomenal. But we're always second or third in the world of countries around the world. When it comes to gun violence and firearms. What the heck? What the heck? What are we doing? We are doing something wrong. And then we keep saying we're this great leader. We're this great example. What kind of example are you when you're second and third in the world every year for your people being killed by guns? I don't know how great that is, but it's not great to me.
No.
Money, yes, okay, we got money flowing everywhere. But what about people and lives? Something is missing. Something is not being done. We have a problem. Houston, we have a problem.
Absolutely.
And that's what I think we should be addressing. How do we reduce the gun violence in this country? We've said, yeah, we can do all of these rules for them, gun checks and stuff like that. And I want that. God knows I want that. But what we need to do in this country is reduce the amount of guns that are floating around in our country, especially in the hands of people that are using it or have the potential of using it for the wrong reason.
Wow, that's good. But how do we do that, Cassandra? How do we get the guns out of those people's hands?
We first of all, we can start. Let's start with the quick automatic, those weapons that we were talking about. Well, y'all say automatic is every gun, but whatever. Y'all know what I'm talking about. The ones, those rapid fire. Do you know, and this is just, I'm just throwing this in there, for the Sandy Hook killing, that guy shot off and killed 26 people in 4 minutes with an automatic, with those rapid, whatever they call it, guns. How about starting there? How about let's getting those guns banned? Those ones that do that why do people in your house? Why would you need that kind of weapon?
I understand. I
The
understand what you're saying.
military needs it. I'm just saying you can have whatever you want at your house. I'm just saying what do we need those types of guns for in your house?
Let me I got to be, today is Friday, so I got to throw my little comedy in there every now and then. What was that movie? Hold on, I see you, Charles. What was that movie where Eddie Murphy and God Almighty, Arsenio Hall was in it, and Eddie was shooting the gun.
Harlem Nights. Harlem Nights.
Harlem Night.
Yeah, he's shooting the gun, and then Arsenio said, "Bow," and then bow, and Eddie got mad. He said, "Don't shoot that blah 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 no more." And I'm using that as an example because though Eddie Murphy did have a semi-automatic or an automatic weapon that was shooting much faster, even that one would kill you though. That one, it'll kill you if it hit you right. And so
they were shooting at Eddie, and Arsenio had the machine gun, and Arsenio buddy had the pea shooter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and he said, yeah, that's right. Arsenio say, "Don't shoot that no more." You know, he got upset, man. But my point is, even that one little, if it hits you right, it'll kill you. So we have to more and I understand what you're saying, Cassandra. You're certainly not wrong in what you're saying. But my thing is, we have to concentrate on guns itself because that's what's killing people. That's
I totally agree. I'm just saying. I was just giving out.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
absolutely. Happening. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I totally agree. We got to do something about guns. Period. What do we do? I don't have all of the answers, but we have several people on here have mentioned things that can be done, and these are the things that we should be asking our legislators, those that we are putting in office. Hey, this is what we would like to see happen. That's why I'm electing you, because I'm hoping that you will be able to help some of these things stop. We have to do something, guys.
Absolutely.
It's ridiculous.
Absolutely. And I agree with you 110%. Go ahead, Rico.
I agree with what she's saying too. But I really love what Toya said, because she sort of reiterated what I said about that human factor. And what Cassandra said that the first time about that video. I don't know if I was really hearing that guy up in that shooting while the police was standing out there. That I was hearing a lot of stuff, but that's what I wasn't hearing. So it is sort of hard for me to believe that they were standing outside listening to all that gunfire and not doing nothing. I couldn't. I wouldn't have been able to see them being so calm. They would have been more frantic, or maybe dodging and hiding because they don't know if he was shooting outside of the building at them. So I didn't want to get too caught up in that video because I didn't hear what was being described by Sean King, and I like Sean King because he was one of the first one I saw to put it out. But we have to look at our reality. Now, we talk about Sandy Hook and Columbine, and we go all the way back to Oklahoma City with Timothy McVeigh set that bomb off and killed all them kids in that daycare in that federal building. They left them children in harm's way, but they weren't expecting anybody to do any domestic terrorism. But being now that we understand that people will sacrifice children to make their point, it seems after Columbine or Sandy Hook, once it became a pattern in the epidemic, we would have just as much security in place as we do at these nuclear facilities or these facilities that have financial information that people make sure you can't get into. But they don't. Now, this is the reality. Just like the school shooting still been going on, and all we keep on doing is having the same conversation. The conversations about banning guns have been going on and on and on, and going to continue to be a cycle.
Yeah.
Because they're going to have them. We ain't going to get rid of them. We got to accept it. They're not fixing to get rid of them guns because if it makes dollars, it makes too much sense. There's a lot of money out there being made off of these weapons. So what it really boils down to is somehow we have to find a way to evolve to the situations that have become the norm, even though America's moral standards is trash. For us to try to survive and have a ethical or moral life or a quality life in this trash moral environment, we're going to have to put people at these schools because we know that, look, this ain't just happened yesterday for the first time. We're about 20 years deep in these school shootings now.
Yeah.
And you telling me you still ain't got parents that got a full-time job up and now 10 deep with guns See, one security officer might be good, but he can't cover every entrance. You can put metal detectors up through there, but the metal detector ain't gonna stop somebody and say, "Hey, slow down or stop right here." They can just run on through and say, "Screw that little detector." If you ain't got nobody on every detector, if they are in every school. But the fact remains now that we know that this is an element that exists.
Yeah.
This is an environment we live in where children are not safe at school anymore.
30
People
seconds,
are coming
Rico.
in with automatic weapons. You're not fixing to get rid of them because people can make them and build them themselves, and can't nobody stop somebody from doing something in secret that they want to do. So when you put people at these schools, 6 or 7 or 8, 10, how many of them, preferably some of the parents that would be concerned about their children being there, and then just move accordingly. And that we just live in a new environment because we are evolving. This is the new day we live in, and we got to accept it. These guns ain't going nowhere until something bigger happens.
Good deal. 508-924-3521. 508-924-3521. Going to Rosalind, and after Rosalind, Charles, coming to you, brother. Rosalind, what's on your heart?
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. You know, this, I don't want to speak out of like anger, but I just feel like,
are you mad, sister?
No, I'm not mad. It's just just listening to the stories and listening to the parent interviews. Because one of the parents, they lived like right behind the school. And I think the mom was saying that she heard the first shots when he was outside, and that's when the father went to the school. There are a lot of excuses. And like Rico said, the guns are not going anywhere, so we have to do something different. And my only thing, speaking from a parent's perspective, is to up the security at the schools. I mean, we have sent billions and billions of dollars to other countries. We can use some of that money and put into our school systems to fund that security system or whatever they need to up the security. We have the National Guard. They can go to the schools and do security. It's just something has to be done. And if they ask me to go, I'll go. I have a registered gun. I have the right to carry, all of that. And I will go, because not only will I protect my child, I protect other people, kids too.
Yeah.
But it's just a lot. And the media, sometimes they put out false information, but a lot of the information is true. One of the kids that survived, they were saying she put blood all over herself to stay alive because she didn't want to die. So imagine the trauma that she has to go through, or she's witnessed, just to stay alive. And I feel like in Texas, I mean, I think that was Toya saying they practice fire drills and stuff. We have to start practicing saving ourselves when an active shooter is on school grounds, because a tornado, I mean, it's a life-threatening deal as well, but seems like to me protecting the kids from an active shooter is very important. But it's a lot. It's just a lot. And every time I click on the media or turn the news on, they're still talking about it. But at the same time, it's a cycle. We'll talk about it for a while, then it'll die down, it'll go away. Then later on, another shooting will happen, then it'll come back. Oh, what did we do wrong? So we have to implement some type of plan to try to save our kids.
Absolutely. Charles, what's going on, man? How you doing this morning?
What's up, man? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
What's going on? I couldn't hear the whole. I heard your conversation, but I didn't hear any questions.
Okay. Well, we're talking about the situation. The police officers. It is being said, and a video has surfaced that the police officers in Texas stood outside for over 40 minutes while that shooter, that savage, was inside the building killing their kids, and they're paid to serve and protect. Did they do it in that instance?
If that was the instance and they did that, and they did do it that way, they didn't do their job. You know, they didn't serve and protect. And it's a possibility. I don't know if it's true, but it's a possibility. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna say it's not a possibility. I'm for the police.
Yeah.
But you can't sit here and tell me that some of them ain't cowards now. You know, you can't sit here and tell me that some of them ain't wrong. So it's a possibility that they did do that. And the way I heard the story is that the another set of police went in who didn't supposed to go in, which were the Border Patrol. By the time they got there, they went in instead because they weren't going to stand around. Because I think it was the Border Patrol who killed them. So you got different sets in that area of police. And
so basically, what
I
I'm
remember
there was one group that, and that was, let me pause your time. There was one group that stood there and watched and was very nonchalant with this. Yeah. Well, I'm not. I don't even know if I really want to say scared, but I do want to say that, but I'm not gonna say that. But it was only until another group came, and that's when everything started happening. Starting your time.
That's a possibility, man. You got. I remember in Atlanta when Atlanta police didn't want to go through East Lake Meadows, and the DeKalb County police had to go through there because that's in Atlanta and DeKalb County.
Yeah.
So you got sets of people who just like that. Now I'm not saying that it did happen. I'm saying that it's a possibility. It's a possibility. You people in firefights, you got the braves and you got the people who are not brave. You got the cut above and you got the ones who not. You got the ones who want to lay down their life and save people, and you got the ones who won't. So the way the story went, the parents wanted to get the equipment from the police.
Yeah.
So we don't. It'll come out clearer. But that's the story out. You get what I'm saying? And first time you hear it, you got to dissect it. You got to say, okay, this happened, that didn't happen. Just like Rico said, nobody wasn't moving around frantically outside.
Charles, you're going through that spot, brother. We got to come back to you. You're going through that spot right now. Curtis, a lot of times people are saying that it's a mental illness situation. Do they sometimes use that as an excuse?
Oh, without a doubt. Because the mental illness always applied. Look at who it's applied to when things like this happen. You know. But the larger point is what Cassandra said, man. I mean, we forget about the guy in Las Vegas. Now, if that wasn't heinous, I don't know what was. I mean, he over top of folks.
Yeah.
Just banging out. So, what bothers me with this whole thing is when you think of it politically, what bothers me is the hypocrisy behind taking the most simplistic of actions to start to try and gain some control over how much money is enough money. You done made enough money. We forget the movie Lords of War because it's Nicolas Cage. But Lords of War told us what was going on. But let me just drift back to something I was saying earlier, because you have made a valid point and been trying to make that point consistently throughout this whole conversation. Battlefield analysis and assessment, right? You have two types. You have the type when the enemy is far off and approaching. That is a 40-minute, hour and a half, 2-hour conversation, because you calculate, you're constantly being told their location, right? So you're constantly being told salute, size, activity, location, uniform, time, and equipment. You're constantly being told that. So that's constantly being fed into what they call a talk. A talk is where all of your white shirts in terms of the police department, all of your your shift commanders and things like that, they're in there. And their whole job is to assess and analyze the situation and then make a call, right? So 40 minutes, an hour, hour and a half, boom. Yes, they have that time. But now, there's what I like to call immediate battlefield assessment. That means that, in my mind, we in the bush.
we're on patrol,
Mm-hmm.
right? And all of a sudden, he popped up 25 meters from us.
30 seconds, Curtis.
Somebody has to be professional enough to assess that thing in 30 seconds, a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what we're going to do. Whatever the outcome is, it is. But we got to save lives. Here's what we're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
It appears to me that everybody wants a job. Everybody wants the bag. Everybody wants the money. Everybody wants the prestige. But nobody wants to make the decisions.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And that's what we saw happen.
Good deal. Good deal. Monique, Monique, what's on your heart, sis? Monique? Monique, are you there?
I'm here. Sorry. I'm trying to get off mute.
What's on your heart? Just talk to me.
I was just thinking about, what Curtis was saying. Like at my job, we do active shooting drill.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the last things that they tell us to do is fight. That's what they literally tell us, when, everything else fails, you fight.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there was probably one teacher, I believe, that tried to, do what she could. I think she ended up getting killed.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we really need to, look at our state, and start, putting pressure on them. Because I think this is probably a state issue. Maybe that's probably why the federal haven't really started mandating it, because it's a state issue.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we probably need to, really start looking at our governor and, start putting some pressure on them to put things in place.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I noticed that these mass shootings been, going towards the weak, the vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm pretty sure there's guns and, in places, but they don't seem to go in that area.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's all I wanted to say right now.
Oh, good deal. Leonard, what's on your heart, brother? Talk to me.
Well, I'm just listening, and if you go to YouTube, I put some resources there, and these are resources you can call and you can ask your local school districts, your local police department. Do they have active duty training, active shooter training? You can ask them, well, do they share that information with the public? Are there any types of programs and resources in the area that they sponsor that involve what to do when there's an active shooter that they offer to the public? It's not going to get any better if people are not prepared.
Yeah.
There is, and one thing, it's not a money issue. It is not a money issue.
Mm-hmm.
It is a priority issue.
Yeah.
The money has always been there. And the thing about it is parents don't need to be there. They shouldn't have to do that because you pay law enforcement to do that.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is you have to make sure they're doing their job. And if they're not, you have to go down to your city councils and everything and question, okay, what was the increase in the budget for? Why did we go and hire an entire police force to protect specifically the school district?
Mm-hmm.
We spent all that extra money on a police force for the school district.
Yeah. Yeah.
In this very district where this was allowed to happen. Texas boasts these various plans that they've done and active shooter and all this training and where was it?
Mm-hmm.
Where was that in this incident? All those things you said you needed the money for and that you were going to do. How did that play a role in what happened? And you know, it's not that it's ever a money issue. How many of y'all going and who y'all voting for in the general election? Who y'all getting ready to go vote for in y'all general elections around the country? I mean, how many people that once were voting for the people obstructing a lot of these changes and things like that, how many of y'all still gonna go back in there and vote for them? How many of y'all gonna go in and still vote for the people that don't want the Brady bill to be reenacted? How many of y'all gonna go down there and vote for that?
Wow. 30 seconds, Leonard.
I'm done. You don't have to come back to me until the subject changes.
Oh, you want to stand by, brother? Let me go to Friday. Friday, good morning. How you doing this morning?
How you doing?
You're doing good, doing good. You been listening?
I'm not. I just joined in.
We're talking about the police officers in Texas that stood by over 40 minutes while this lunatic was going around shooting inside the school building, shooting the children. They took a responsibility to serve and protect. Did they do that in that instance?
It's difficult for me to say. I would have to do my research exactly to see what's going on. 40 minutes seems like an excessive amount of time to not act, but I also know that they may have had orders to wait for SWAT. If it wasn't the SWAT team, they have protocol that they have in the building. It's unfortunate that it was an active shooter happening, but I know that they can't just barge in because it can actually escalate the situation versus de-escalating it. So 40 minutes does seem like an excessive amount of time to not do anything, especially when we know that it's an active shooter, actually, you know, not just walking around, but actually shooting. So I'm limited in that, but I would say that that does seem like a very long time to wait, knowing that there's an active shooter, especially around kids.
Wow. Cassandra, would it have made sense? And this is just me thinking out loud because I don't know. But Cassandra, would it have made sense to find, you know, try to kind of find out what area they was in and throw some tear gas in there, and then, you know, let the tear gas do what it's going to do, and then just go in and pull everybody out because they got their mask and they can go into the tear gas and overtake the situation at that time. Would that make sense? Cassandra?
Yes.
Would that have made sense?
Say that again.
To find out, isolate the situation to a certain, find out what the situation is and throw some tear gas in that area. And then them being able to go in with the mask on, they can go through the tear gas with the mask on. Would it have made sense to do something like that? I'm just trying to throw something out there.
Raheem, see, this is why we need more information, because what I would believe is that because he had that gun, that rapid-fire gun, by the time police were called, listen, remember what I said, at Sandy Hook, 26 children were killed in 4 minutes. So even if the police station was 5 minutes away, by the time they got there, the shooting is done. He done did the damage. He's done the damage. So then they're there, and now they're trying to say, okay, what happened? We don't know all the details, blah, 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 blah. We don't know where he is in the building. But I don't want to, like I said, indict them because I believe, and I may be wrong, but I think when everything comes out, we'll see that those children were already dead. You know how quickly it took just for 19 kids? That did not, and 2 teachers, that did not take long. A few minutes, just a few minutes. Give them less than 5 minutes. And all those people were dead before the cops even got there. You know, I'm just saying.
That's the part I'm struggling with right there, because we actually don't know the time, the window of time when all these kids, whether it was over that 40-minute period or whether it was within a window of 5 minutes or 6 minutes or whatever. See, we don't know, and that's the problem.
No, but listen, I agree with someone said a few minutes ago. Someone said they were talking about, I can't see them sitting there hearing gunfire outside. Them being outside and hearing gunfire and not going into the building. I and I just believe if those police officers are at that school and they're hearing gunfire, they would have gone in. They would have gone in. I believe it was done by that time.
Wow.
That's just me. I don't know. And until we get all of the details, none of us know.
Exactly. And see, that's the part I'm struggling with right there. The window of time. You know, when did it happen? When did you start hearing the gunfire? How long did it take you to act after you heard the gunfire? So that's a lot. That's a lot. Hold on for a minute. We got VP Mom here, young lady. Hey.
Good morning.
Good morning. How you doing this morning?
Absolutely amazing.
Good to have you. Good to have you, sis. Good to have you on. We talking about this. What do you hear in this whole situation?
Well, basically, it starts from the actual school itself. It seems to me that they didn't have any protocol for safety for the school. First of all the doors should have been locked. Is it not my understanding that he walked into the school, he killed the security guard or whatever, and then he walks into a classroom, which that could have been avoided if the administration had some type of protocol that all doors stayed locked, right? At all times, not just that day, because he wouldn't have been able to get in a classroom if all the classroom doors were locked. That is the biggest thing that could have been avoided. He could have been walking the halls, maybe whatever, because I'm a teacher, so at our school, you have to be buzzed in, of course, and all our doors stay locked at all times. You keep your doors closed and locked at all times. This gentleman walked in a classroom. He walked in a classroom. That avoidance could have been stopped if they had a protocol set in place. And when we have what we call safety measures, we do drills, and things like that. When active shooter drills, we do, like you said, they took about 40 minutes. They cannot just walk in a location like that. And the reason being is they have to scope the place out first. They can't just walk in. They have to go around, look at it. They probably were looking it through the windows. They were probably doing all these type of things before they, try to figure out what was going on the inside before they even executed going inside that building, because they have protocols that they have to meet first in order for them to make sure that that no more casualties would be able to happen. And I think that's why it took 40 minutes, because they probably were standing out there looking through windows. I don't know what it looks like. They had no protocols, because at that point, I mean, what was going on? I mean, did they have alarm systems? I mean, quiet alarm. Did they have a drill that they go through every day? It didn't seem like they had any of that. It just don't. It just seems like it was just, free for all.
Let me ask you this question. Would it have been a more effect? And I'm just throwing things out there because I don't know. And I certainly don't have the answers, but I'm just evaluating the situation. I'm playing our Monday morning quarterback right now. Would it have been better had they had different teams to do different things? One team to go around and survey the whole surrounding, and another team to go in, another team to split up, and then by way of walkie-talkie or some kind of communication system they could have had where they could actually talk to each other. The people outside could talk to the people on the inside. Okay, they're in this area and isolated so they can, there's so many different things that.
Well, it seems like there was a lack of communication because, absolutely. Like I said, and I don't know this type of community. It seems like it's a small community, and tragedy always gets the mind to a place where it can't hardly think. They probably wasn't communicating. I don't think there's something else that happened. This happened once before where the communication was not there. And so what happened was a lot of things happened because they couldn't communicate with each other. But it's not that. It's just that if they had any type of protocol going, everybody would have known what they were supposed to have done. The police department didn't have that either. They couldn't have had. They couldn't have, because they didn't know what to do. They couldn't have known. They couldn't have known what to do. And it's probably one of those things. It's like, a tragedy, like a hurricane happened all at once, and we got to find all the people. And how are we going to do that? There wasn't nothing in place. They had nothing in place. You can tell they had nothing in place.
Absolutely.
Not anything. I don't think they had anything in place. Sure, it could have been done differently. And first of all, it has to know that all schools need to have a safety measure in place. Not saying it's nothing like that ever can happen. It's just that you have to have safety measures put in place.
Absolutely. Hold right there, sis. Don't go nowhere. I'm gonna circle around. I'll come right back to you. If you can hang out with us for a little bit, we definitely would appreciate that. Ibrahim, what's on your heart, brother?
Well, I said the same thing the sisters are saying. I mean, we don't have enough information, and because we got to remember there were more than just that one classroom in that building, and somehow the other classroom people got out. And I read parts of where that the police had helped assist them get out. The resource officer was shot in trying to prevent him from getting into the building as he went over the fence. You know what I mean? So I mean, there's a lot of parts of this. But the main thing is, I grieve for the people, and like you said, I can just imagine those children because they said they was shot so bad they had to get DNA from their parents because they don't even see what they look like. They don't even know what they look like. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of things that's part of that. But I think rather than blaming anybody now, we should take a deep soul search. What do we need to do to stop this violence from going on?
Yes.
What 1, 2, 3, right? And it got worse and worse every day. But we ain't new to this. Like it mentioned Sandy Hooks, 46 people got killed in that, children and adults, right? 21 this time, right? 10 up in Buffalo, almost same type of weapons and everything. So we need to take a deep soul search, why, to get into why people are doing these things, right? I don't, me myself, I like to have a firearm. You know what I mean? I really do, and I like to have better training in having a firearm.
So you want to shoot somebody? Go ahead, brother.
Oh, I want to shoot nobody. I want to defend myself. You know what I mean?
I'm just speaking, brother.
Yeah, I know. Because right here in Atlanta, right? I seen guys run a gas station and rob women and stuff. Or people say, "Why didn't you stop and help?" And this guy, and they had shoot out just yesterday about 100 times in Atlanta and out there on the highway, interstate. I don't know why they're shooting out. It could be a reason for that, But hey, I don't want to be called a road rage. At least I can leave some evidence. Both of us be up in the hospital or dead or something. I don't want to just walk away from it. You know what I mean? And but it's so many things that's going on.
Yeah.
Like we talked about the other day, death. Death is inevitable, but it's just how you go, right?
Exactly.
But I like to see us do more in the community, for our community, and about people surviving the community. Because now people can walk in our communities, they can do anything they want, right? Same thing with them. It's a Mexican guy. It's a Mexican, Mexican town, Spanish town. Walk right in the door. When he jumped over a fence and all like that. He was running from something, from the police officer, chasing him from possibly killing his grandmother. That's another thing we forgot too.
Exactly. Let me do this. Anybody have anything they want to say on this topic? We're gonna move to something else. Anybody have anything else they want to say before we move on?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely have something I want to say to it.
Okay.
I'm listening to this conversation and I understand now more and more why the younger generation tell us we need to move out the way. And I wish Ray was on here. We have to be visionaries. And I'm thinking like Ibrahim was saying, it gets to a point now where you want to stop saying whose fault is this, whose fault is that, and try to find ways to stop this new phenomenon. Well, it ain't new anymore. Like I said, we over 20 years in, we're right at 30 years in on this new phenomenon of children not being able to learn and being targets by cowards. And so, we have to go and realize that we living in a Tesla age now. You can't take that old school mechanic from the 80s that could fix on them cars in their backyard and tell him to fix on them Tesla. And this new generation, they are visionaries. See, this is the reason why I say sometimes you have to have an open mind and not be so quick to discredit what people say. It is a money issue. If the money is there, but the money is not being put in the right place, that's an issue. It's a priority and a money issue. And also, I said that about the parents, and somebody said they shouldn't be there. I'm going to come back and say they should, and I'm going to tell you why. I said earlier, if those policemen that had been outside that school had had a child of their own in that school, something would have happened a little differently. There would have been more of an interest, a vital interest in you making sure that somebody get out of there alive, the one that you sent to that school, compared to somebody that's just going to follow the protocol. You're going to say, well, wait a minute, that sounds stupid. Then he in there shooting, they talking about some weight, hell no.
Hey.
You're going to go up in there. So, you know, we talk about the priority. That's true. The priority is that there's not enough school funding. If they took some of the money that they spent on defense spending and on prisons, building prisons, they could hire 10 or 20 parents and put them in rotation and have them up there full time. And the reason why I say parent, because the parents have a more vested interest in the children up there if their children are there than just being there for a job. See, a lot of people just take a job for granted. That's what happens with human beings. We got to remember human behavior. We take things for granted once we get comfortable, and a job is just a job, it's just a job. But when it's your job to make sure your child leaves from that school and don't nobody come up in there, you're going to take it a little bit more serious.
Very serious.
So now what they could do, they could make it just as hard to come up in the school as it is to come up in the prison. Can you walk up in the prison and slaughter people?
No.
It's hard for you to even break innocent people out. It's hard enough to get innocent people out through the legal system, much less go and break them out. But you telling me somebody can walk up in the street to the most vulnerable people on this planet, next to elderly people, and have a field day, and nobody thought over 25 or 30 years, let's make it to where these school doors are locked, and you got to have a car to get in, or you got to be buzzed to get in, whatever way. It should be hard for a student to skip. Because once the doors close, you can't get up out of here. If you can keep a prisoner from escaping, you should be able to keep a student from coming off their school ground. So it's a money priority issue. And I'm going to go back to that about the parents. The parents should be the ones up in there if they have to have security, because they have more concern. It won't just be a job for them.
Good deal.
So, you know, technology evolves, time evolves, values have changed, and sometimes you got to think out the box. And that's the part. That's where visionaries come in. They don't just sit back and listen to other people talk about the same thing over and over again. Vote, 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 vote. These younger people are tired of hearing that.
Okay, hold right there.
Ain't nobody saying the vote don't work. You got to vote too.
Okay, Rico, we gotta keep it moving, brother.
But at the same time, we have other things we got to do.
Get it. Hold right there, man. We over 3 minutes. Let me go to the next person, man. Stay right there. You ain't got to go nowhere. Definitely stay with us. But anybody else have anything they want to say before we move on to the next topic?
Yes, sir. I mean,
go ahead, Curtis. Curtis,
what the young said earlier, if I was to look at this and assess it, or if I was to look at this and assess it, what she said was absolutely right. And we want to wait for the investigation to come when it's obvious what happened. I'm sorry. There's not much to do. But we got to understand that investigations, in terms of their side of it, investigation gives them more time to make up excuses or to tell lies. Because I heard her say, you know, they should have had teams, and I heard you say they should have teams. You said something about would it have made sense if they had a team that would have did this, and a team that would have did that, and a team that would have did this, right?
Yes.
All of the teams that was needed was there. There was no communication to tell them to move into position. All of the teams that was assessed was there. When they breached that door, what they would do is they would breach that door on oh my God. Let me just put it like this. I'm not going to use the battlefield term. I'll use the shape term. They would have hit that door on stage. They had all the equipment. They had flashbangs. They had everything that they could have protected themselves. They could have hit that door on a wedge. One dude hit the door. One dude tossed the flashbang. The flashbang is tossed so that the shooter cannot see who's coming through the door. You can see where the shot's coming from, but the shooter can't see who's coming through the door. So he can't target a specific person coming through the door. Once the flashbang go in, then the rest of the team come behind them. The dude that's on point, it's a wedge, it's a triangle. The dude that's on point then move back to the point, and they go to where they gotta go. They go to where what's going on. They got cameras on, they got mics on, they got somebody talking in their ear, they hearing what's going on outside. They hear everything. Like that lady said, like the sister said, this was a classic case of a gross lack of communication. We saw it during 911. We saw it during Sandy Hook. We saw it during the Parkland shooting. We saw it during classic case of non-communication. I just found out. I just read an article
30 seconds, Curtis.
about the top grocery store. I just read an article about the grocery store, right? Do you know that the chat room that the dude was in, where he put his plan in, it was only 6 people in that chat room. That chat room is specifically for those who believe in a white nationalist ideology, right? Do you know it was a federal agent in the chat room? And talking about investigating. Hold on, man. Quit trying to cover stuff up. Lay it out, and if they was wrong, they was wrong. I think the commissioner's going to lose his job. I think the chief of police is going to lose his job. The only person whose job is going to be secure is probably the Border Patrol. Because if they had Border Patrol that close to them, that means that they used to a hot zone all the time.
Good deal.
I'm not making no excuse for that.
Okay, hold right there, Curtis. Got to keep it moving now. I'm trying to move to this next topic, man. But y'all want to stay on this? Anybody else have anything else they want to say before we move on to another topic? Anybody have anything they want to say?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hicks. Edwin Hicks.
Yes, go ahead. We can hear you.
Okay. I guess my whole concern about this here, in terms of all these things that's been happening over history, I guess, is that we never get to the bottom of the things. We never got to the bottom of the whole thing in Twin Towers. We never got to the bottom of Vietnam, which I'm a veteran of. We never got to the bottom of anything. My question is, it seems to me, it's always very curious that these things happen right around the time when there's a political election coming on, and the side that want to disarm the populace, really subverting the Second Amendment, use these things to get people in a panic to shift the vote right at the right time. That's my comment, and I thank you.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. We're going to move on because it was said earlier in the conversation that we were talking about mental illness. And I want to ask this question: how rapid is mental illness here in the United States of America? Because Biden put a comment out there. He said, well, mental illness is also happening in other parts of the world, but they're not having these issues. So why here? And why is mental issue put in the forefront when it comes to something like this? We have another young lady that's with us this morning. I want to get your name right, sister. Help me out.
So good morning, y'all. My name is Shanavier Clark, but everybody calls me Navy.
Okay, Navy. I'm gonna call you Navy because that's so much easier for me. Thank you.
That will work.
But Navy, tell me, because I know that you have a background in this. We talking about mental illness. How rapid is mental illness in America? Are we taking it as serious as we should?
That's a good question. I think we only take it as serious as we need to in situations like this. It's always been around. It's always been here, but we tend to only want to acknowledge it whenever there is a crisis or a trauma attached to it. This is an everyday issue that people come in and out of my office from the time we open to the time that we close, and then sometimes in between. But it only gets the recognition that it deserves whenever we have a tragedy like this, whenever there's a trauma or a crisis attached to it. And that's where I feel that we have to do better with acknowledging the fact that this is an everyday battle and not just somebody has went postal or lost their mind or whatever other innuendos that we use to make a tragic situation more palatable for us.
What are the steps that we should take as a community or communities? What should we take? What steps should we take to get a better handle on situations like this and on people that have these issues?
I think the biggest thing, the number one thing, is acknowledgement. Mental health, and if I'm able to speak frankly for a second, especially in our community, is something that's so taboo. We are taught and indoctrined to pray everything away and go on about your business. However, I'm not saying that you can't have Jesus too, because Jesus is my homeboy as well. But there are certain things that we need to couple with that. Acknowledgement would be the first, and providing an open space and a safe space for our children, for our families, for ourselves to be able to have these conversations, and then actively getting out to have the conversations. Those are my top 3 things. Really simple. Well, I say that they're really simple, but to execute them has shown to be a little bit more tasking because there's such a stigma that's still surrounded around mental health. None of us want to be labeled. We don't want to be labeled. We don't want to be crazy. We don't want to face that, there may be something else that's going on that I cannot and don't know how to deal with. So acknowledgement, providing that safe space, and just having the conversation. 3 simple things to get us started.
How does one recognize?
That's a good question. I think that comes with trial and error, to be honest with you. We live in a technology world. We live in a very social media world. So there's always information that's out there. I won't say that it's always the right information, but there's information out there to assist you and help you. One of the biggest signs is if something has been like plaguing you for an extended period of time, and the thing is there doesn't have to be anything wrong with you, so to speak, to go and have a conversation with a therapist, a counselor, a life coach, a mentor, or what have you. We don't have to wait until we're in crisis mode to where we're breaking down crying in order to go and talk with someone, just to be able to vent to someone that's in a safe space. So to recognize it, I can't give you a broad answer. I can't give you a specific answer to that. It's a very broad thing. It's one that you have to recognize within yourself. And how you recognize that is, I guess, whenever you are sick and tired of being sick and tired, as my grandma would say. But yeah, we just have to start. It's just like going to the gym. It's just like taking a shower. These are your mental health should be part of your daily routine, just as showering, eating, going to the gym, eating foods. It's a choice that we make, and that's readily available to us. We just have not been given the proper tools, or we haven't understood how to utilize that tool on a day-to-day basis, if that makes any sense.
It does. Now, Navy, I think, do you have us on speaker? Because I think I'm getting a feedback. I think that feedback is coming from your line a little bit. So if you have us on speaker, take us off speaker.
Okay, y'all are connected to my computer. So how do I do that?
Get some headphones. Put your headphones on. Grab some headphones real quickly. And then that way you have your sound coming through the headphones so you still be able to hear us and communicate at the same time. Cassandra, we talked about mental health, and I know that's an area that you're very passionate and been in for a long time as well. So what's on your heart?
Yeah, everything she said was spot on, and thank you for what you are doing. Especially in our community, there has always been a horrible stigma, and still is, when it comes to mental health issues, because depression, that most of us on here have had periods where we suffered with depression, and that's a part of a mental health issue that we don't even want to talk about. That don't even go to schizophrenia and bipolar. You people just don't want it. Like, no, he's just special. What the heck is that? So until, just like she said, we at least recognize what's happening. I have multiple schizophrenics in my family. Multiple schizophrenics. I have multiple people that suffer with bipolar in my family. I don't know what it is, but it's there, and we have to deal with it on a daily basis. And guess what? That mental illness has caused several of them to become drug addicts. They go to drugs. That's their soothe. That's their pacifier for when they're feeling, when they're in crisis. I guess that's the word that I'd like to use. So I just wish that we would talk about it more. That's why I do a lot of programs. That all through the year, I'll do things on mental illness, mental health, so that we can get the word out. Bringing awareness is what's going to help us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Curtis, what's on your heart, brother?
Both of the ladies were spot on. I mean, I deal with it every day consistently. And to my fellow counselors and therapists and direct care providers, it would behoove us to have a therapist of our own, because we dealing in a situation that has become 10 times more dangerous. And the main reason is because there has really been no real legislative push to address the issue. The reason why that is because unlike every other surgery that you will have in your life, mental illness will be one of the most expensive treatments that an insurance company will have to pay for. Do you know why?
Why is that?
Because mental illness, like when you look in the DSM, which is the basically the guidelines for mental illness and things of that nature, right? A person who is mentally ill could be suffering from a multitude of different sicknesses at the same time.
Wow.
It's not like a heart. They go in, they see you got some platelets that's clogging your heart. So they go in, open you up, do whatever they do to remove the platelets so that your heart can flow. They may give you a bypass or something like that, right? With mental illness, a lot of times, one mental illness will inevitably or can lead to another. ADD lead to ADHD. ADHD can lead to ADD. Or the two have the same kind of characteristics or symptoms, or their spectrum the same, but also those things can lead to, for example, ADD, ADHD can lead to, for example, ODD, which is oppositionally defiant disorder. You find out that most people that's oppositionally defiant have anger management issues. So the idea, because mental health costs so much money, and it's not specific to us as taxpayers, the insurance companies really don't want to pay for it.
Wow.
So that's why you have an immediate push in Congress, the Senate, to address those issues. And even when the push is made, you got to understand that now the people get upset because guess what? Our premiums rise. Now you charging me all this money, and the first thing folks say is, oh, you charging me this money? I'm not mentally ill. Why should I be paying? Why should my premiums go up? So it's a dollars and cents kind of thing. That's why the issue has not been addressed. That's my opinion.
Good deal. Good deal. Let me go to Badger. Badger, what's on your heart, brother?
Man, this conversation, for me, this is one of the toughest because, well, for those of us that know what the issues are and have a lot of tools or has the degree to be able to help people in the communities, the amount of people that are not aware of their mental situation. You know, I've mentioned before that I think most of America is in a type or on a spectrum of trauma brain. Because to me, if you grow up in a household that teaches some kind of hate over and over and over again, it's, you know, also the definition of it, living in insanity. So there's so much, everything from social media to toxic teachings at the house, in the community, not to mention what people are born with. You know, and that's one of the reasons, you know, from time to time, I make the comment, you know, that I am on the higher side of autism because I still don't use
Asperger's or savant disorder anymore as far as the label goes. You know, brain trauma as well. I also have severe PTSD. Yet here I am on the radio show. I'm constantly researching. I volunteer at a museum. You know, all the things that trigger me, I do it anyway to work through my problems. I don't let all the things that people used to say, it affects me sometimes because I wasn't aware of it, but the moment I become aware of a situation or a problem that I have, I work on it actively and nonstop. And that's something I've noticed a lot of people, they're either too busy with work, too busy drinking or doing drugs, and it isn't actively taught in the communities as a whole
30 seconds,
that to
man.
better yourself, to be responsible to other human beings, you have to actively, nonstop work on your mental well-being. That's it.
That's it. Good deal. Good deal. Rico, what's on your heart, brother?
I'm just glad you got somebody on here that really can address this issue. You know, my opinion on this is that everybody has some type of mental illness going on. The thing is do you realize it?
Mm-hmm.
You know, many times we walk around and we don't understand when we are encountering people with mental illnesses. Sometimes you can listen to a person's opinions and tell they might not be severely mentally ill, but that thought process is very dysfunctional.
Mm-hmm.
And when they get to the point where they can't see beyond that thought process, to me, that's some form of mental illness.
Mm-hmm.
And that might be because they're comfortable with the way they were brought up or what they believe in or whatever, but they still don't have the capacity to be able to understand the other potentials that may be going on. So I think that could be slightly a sign of mental illness too, but who would recognize that? Not only in themselves, but in their partners.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some people get married. And they can say, oh, he just like that. Oh, he just eccentric. No, he don't like company. He don't like to go nowhere. He don't like to deal with people. He ain't a people person. Well, you know, everybody might say, well, he got the option to not be a people person. But what human being doesn't like people? You know, some things just ain't normal.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they may feel that way because of the environment. You know, they may feel that way because the atmosphere that exists tells them, well, you know what, man, I'm getting untrusting of people. I don't want my kids coming around. I don't know who's going to try to touch them, who's going to try to molest them, who's going to try to kill them. And they get paranoid. Now, that's still another side of mental illness, but at the same time, they were doing it for the right reason.
Mm-hmm.
But that fear made them go overboard. So now they walk around here mentally ill, but the next person just looking at them like, oh, he just like that because somebody touched him when he was young.
Mm.
But was it ever fixed?
Mm-hmm.
Was there any therapy? Did anybody ever sit down and talk with this person and sort out some of the dysfunctional things that came along with that abuse and that behavior that he suffered, that trauma that he went through, to let him know, wait a minute, what you did to adapt and cope with what happened,
mm-hmm.
that is not normal, it ain't right. And we need to get you to understand that so you can fix it, so you don't go around thinking from here on out that this is right and normal.
30 seconds, Rico.
It may be keeping you from having
mm-hmm.
the right type of relationship with the children.
Mm-hmm.
Some people may be having improper relationships. Some people might not have the correct relationships based off of things that happened to them in the past, but they never know that they were traumatized when they were young, and that's what has them carrying on the way that they do. So I think the importance of psychology and psychologists and sociologists, man, they are important because you have many people that would just blame behavior on just being good or evil.
Mm-hmm.
When it goes much deeper than that. A part of that is your programming, and you don't realize you've been misprogrammed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. 508-924-3521. 508-924-3521. The phone lines are open. Give us a call. We're talking right now about mental illness. Is it an issue? How is it dealt with? Do we deal with it in the proper way here in the United States of America? Rosalind, what's on your heart?
I'm just listening. It's definitely something that needs more attention. Because becoming um it's more people that's being diagnosed with mental illness. So we need to look at maybe getting more funds or looking at the healthcare. Different people have different healthcare, so maybe they need to look at providing more funds for mental illness. So it's definitely becoming an issue.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let me go. Ibrahim, you still with us? Oh, as soon as I call on, he drop off. Ain't that something? Navy, what do you think if you being who you are with the background that you have, if you could come up with 3 things that would have to happen in this day and time to make the communities more aware of mental illness and how they can get the help and support that they need throughout that situation, what would those 3 things be?
Hmm. I would definitely start with more exposure, but with more exposure, that would have to come with, I'm gonna piggyback off of what Rosalind said, which is more funding. Whenever it comes, I'm just gonna use our state, Mississippi, as an example. When it comes to us having resources readily available for those with mental health issues, we fall number 41 in the state, and that's an issue because you have 1 in 5 adults that are diagnosed with some form of mental illness, but they don't have the resources readily available for them to get the help that they need. So other than exposure and resources, the third thing would just be doing the footwork, getting the word out there. Rosalind and I are very active in our community. We don't have the luxury of waiting for the government or someone to come and save us and save our kids and save our families. We have to be willing to do the footwork ourselves, and oftentimes without funding from other people or from grants or anything like that. So activism, I guess, would be the word to use, resources and putting in the footwork. I mean, if everybody can collectively put into the pot what they know and just being able to provide that safe space for our communities, we can make a world of difference because we don't have the luxury of waiting on someone else to save us when it comes to this topic.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Can I ask her a question?
Hold 1 second. I got somebody on standby. Hold on, Badger. I'll come back to you. K with the E, good morning. How you doing this morning?
Good morning. Blessed in you.
Hey, blessed as well, sis. What's on your heart? We're talking about mental illness. What's on your heart?
Mental illness is definitely something that needs to be more aware of. Because, like Rico said, we deal with some people that has never been diagnosed and ain't even aware that they have one. But you can hold a conversation with them, and then you could say, "Wow." But at some breaking point, I done been there. So would they say, "Kay, you have a mental illness?" Because I done been there. So I think we all have some type of mental illness inside of us because we have a physical, mental a part of us, sense of us. Whether it's a mental stable, somebody get you so upset and you ain't thinking no more, and then there go your mental stability. It's gone.
Wow. That's
It's
good.
gone.
Okay, you just put something on my plate that I wanted to talk. I'm gonna go to Cassandra with this one. Cassandra, if a person have that breakdown and they going through so much pressure in their life and they have that breaking point in their life, is that mental illness or is that just the pressure of life coming down on them? Is there a difference?
Okay, let's define what mental illness is and what mental health issues are, okay?
Yes.
So the CDC says they define mental illness as a condition that affects a person's thinking, feeling, mood, or behavior that includes depression, anxiety, bipolar, or schizophrenia. It's not just limited to those, but those are the different ones. Mental health reflects our emotional, psychological, and social well-being, which affects how we think, feel, and act.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to make sure that we keep them separated. Because you're having a bad day and you just like break down and start crying, that does not mean you have mental illness.
Mm-hmm.
That has to be diagnosed as far as I'm concerned. And there are people walking around that have not been diagnosed. I know that I've suffered with depression.
Mm-hmm.
I know that. So I'm aware of it, and I don't have a problem dealing with it. So when I'm feeling certain ways, I know that depression is trying to set in.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't mean for people that may have a bad day, like I said, and break down and cry. But if you're breaking down and crying every day, you need to go get checked.
Yeah.
You understand?
Mm-hmm.
We have to keep them separated. Amen. We just got to keep them separated. Mental health is one thing. Mental illness is something that has been diagnosed: depression, bipolar, schizophrenia, anxiety. Those have been diagnosed as mental illness.
So, Cassandra, it's not healthy for a person to look at Sesame Street and break down and start crying.
Well, look, I've done that. So no, no, for real. That's why I said I can tell you I have periods of time when I could be watching a show and something sad happens, and all of a sudden I'm boohooing like the movie is real. Then I have to check myself. Okay, what's going on? Because you very emotional right now. You're crying. Then I know that I may be going through a bout with depression.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to go and get diagnosed, or you won't know. You try to figure out, people thinking you crazy. What's wrong with her? She just all moody and every time you turn around, blah, 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 blah. Go get help.
Yeah.
Go get at least checked out.
Mm-hmm. And know yourself enough to know that you need to have help at that particular time.
Know yourself. See, I'm real about me. I don't try to pretend with nobody. I know what's going on with me, and I will address it.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's good. That's good.
You
Roz,
know what?
hold on 1 second, Kim. I come right back to you. I told Badger I was gonna come to him. Badger, what's on your heart, brother?
So I had it worded really well, I think, earlier, and then it just all over the place. In our society, Navy, it always seems like due to toxic teachings of the past, we got away from working on self, but not in a selfish or self-centered manner. Looking at how each individual person affects everything that are around them. Be it consciously knowing that it's happening or subconscious. Why is most of the mental health coaches and some counselors that are out there leaving out the part of the way they choose to live their life affects everything around them?
Okay, I'm trying to get a grasp on your question, brother. You know, help you say that again. Say that one more time. Or Navy, are you
Navy, did you get it, Navy?
Okay, I think, let me repeat back what I think that you heard, what I think that I heard, because I really want to make sure that I'm understanding the question correctly. You said that why do some therapists or those that are in my profession, they leave out the day-to-day living of mental health and how that affects you? Does that kind of
Okay,
make sense?
so it feels like most of mental health coaches, not all, just most, and some therapists and things like that, come from a place of self, which is more selfish, and not coming from a place of you're upset because this person and this person's reacting to you, and it's really hard to.
I think what I'm hearing, Badger. I think what I'm hearing you asking it is they try to evaluate you based on their life instead of looking at where you are and where you are in that particular place in your life. Is that similar to what?
Yeah. uh, In a nutshell, teaching responsibility for yourself and to others. That's the simplest, quickest way I can put it.
Okay. No, Navy.
Okay. I honestly cannot disagree with you on that, which is one of the biggest reasons as to why I tend to practice the way that I do, because you're exactly right. Your environment is going to encourage some behavior. We learn vicariously. A lot of what we see manifested now as behavioral health or mental health issues or whatever the case may be are really learned behaviors from our childhood that at once upon a time was a survival skill that has now turned into a coping skill. So what I try my best to practice is a holistic standpoint, because if we're looking at my 5 key areas of uh, our total being is mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, and financially. If one of those things is out of whack, it's going to throw everything else out of whack. So therefore, I can't just look at Mr. Badger and how he responds, well, how he reacts, because that's another thing. We have learned to react instead of respond to certain things that are happening or taking place in our life. So I now have to look at all of these and how that makes you up and how these things can and have affected you. Then we're going to break that down into bite-sized pieces, because this is an elephant that we're trying to eat. We're not going to eat it in one big bite. And so now we're going to break that down and learn how this will trigger us, how to set boundaries to provide a protection against us so that we can respond and not react. So you're exactly right. It's not just me, myself, it's how the world has, how I've had to respond to the world around me instead of the other way around. And so we just have to relearn to navigate that. Hopefully that answers your question, at least a little bit.
Okay.
Also,
What? Hold on, Badger. Hold on, Badger. We got a lot of people here, brother. We got a lot of
there's
people.
just a really important part that got left out.
Okay, hold on. We're trying to make our way back around. But my thing is this right here is what I'm hearing her say is she's actually taking the whole gumbo and taking out all the ingredients of the gumbo and trying to figure out what exactly all the ingredients is in that particular gumbo is what she's saying. So she want to evaluate the whole soup, not just a piece or a part or the juice. Let me go to Miss VP Mom. Miss VP Mom, you there?
Yes, I am. I'm still here.
Good deal, good deal. What's on your heart? What are you hearing? We're talking about mental health right now, and I know, and I think I heard you say you're in education.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now with you being in education, you deal with a lot of students every day. How do you deal with one that may be going through a particular episode? How is that dealt with in the school system?
What you do? Well, basically, somebody said it earlier. Every behavior is a learned behavior. I don't think they're like quote unquote mental conditions. I think that everything has its background status, where the environment, economics, all these different things. So these children um, uh, are being raised in a place where opportunity is not given, or the behavior or the pattern of their behavior is being done, saying it's okay, it's okay for me to be this way, and they're not given coping skills when they're young. They're not giving them real life skills. I mean, because a lot of this behavior is because I was allowed to do what I wanted to do when I was young, and nobody really paid me any attention. So I'm going to act upon whatever it is I want to act upon. And that's what I see a lot in school. It's just a learned behavior, which every pattern is a behavior. So if I'm constantly able to mentally act this way, then I'm going to grow up being just that way. And that's exactly how these kids are turning out, because you got to teach a child the way they should go, I believe. And you have to teach them with morals and values, because the biggest thing that we're talking here is morals. Mentally, a lot of it is not some people do have what they call considered as a mental illness or something like that. But being in the school system, it's just too much of it. So we gotta redirect that verbiage. It's not that. It's a lot of, we need to make sure that we're raising these kids the way they should go. And no means, you can say no to a child. You know what I'm saying? And not being able to have something in life, it's okay. You learn to deal with what's in front of you at a small age, so you don't grow up thinking that that's the way things are supposed to be. And be able to be free of who you are, so that can flourish. But if you don't have something, and when you're young, to nourish it, of course you're going to grow up, others people are going to look at you like you have a mental illness, because you're not tapping into what everybody thinks that you should be. And that's not the way it is. Everybody has their own thought patterns. It's a big museum. All we doing is visiting it.
Exactly. Now let me go ahead. Let me go ahead and say this right here. Amen, sister. Amen. That's all I can say. Because since you preaching this morning, on Friday, we look here. We didn't forget about you. Still, our sister. We love you dearly. But we sticking with VP Mom this morning. We'll come back to you if we can.
You give me all the time. No hard feelings. You got to get her while you got her.
Exactly. Rosalind, talk to me, sis. What's on your heart?
I'm just listening. Just taking in a lot of information. It's definitely needed, and very much needed. And I hope Badger understood or got what he needed when he asked the question. So definitely, it's a conversation that we should, have often. And so we can try to get to the bottom or the root problem of mental health, mental illness, and try to get all the information that we can and apply it to help other people. You have to have a passion for the profession. I know Navy does, and I myself would personally, I recommend a lot of people to her, because I know that she has a passion for what she does. And it's not a lot of therapists that do. They just do it for money, and that's not gonna fix anything. So you have to have a passion, and I appreciate her for stepping out, her and Curtis and Miss Cassandra for what they do, because you definitely have to have a passion for it.
Absolutely. Public citizen, good morning. How you doing this morning?
Good morning. Pretty good. I'm getting an echo. Kind of. Anyway.
Lean your head to the side like this, brother. It'll go away. Lean your head to the side like this. It'll go away. No, go ahead, brother.
All right. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, I was watching the news last night, and with the shooter and everything. It's just so upsetting. There's so many people with mental health problems. We all, I think we all agree that we've all had something along the way, depression or anxiety, and it's just understandable how people get there. One thing that no one touched on yet was AOC. I think she did a tweet that to reach out to men, because women handle emotions so much better than us, right? Because we're socialized to not talk about this stuff. So I think hopefully as we evolve, we can get past all the well, why do men, I don't have all the answers, but why are we so much more violent? Why do we react in these ways when it comes to our mental health? So I think we all just have to have empathy. And I, as a teacher, I see students with all kinds of mental health issues, and it's really hard. As Tucson always likes to say, is hurt people hurt people. Not so true. Those kids are the hardest to like in a lot of ways, but we have to reach out to them, love them, and take care of them, because just simply out of love of humanity, if nothing else. But it's hard.
It is. And there's a lot of responsibility that go in education. You all as teachers, my wife is an educator as well, and I know there's a lot of responsibility that y'all wear a lot of hats. Y'all wear a lot of hats in regards to how you have to deal with those children and the problems that those children bring to the school every day. And she's administrator now, but she used to tell me all the time, every Monday is like she had to erase everything that happened over the weekend and start fresh all over again. Man, that's every week, every Monday. You put stuff in them Monday through Friday, then they go home over the weekend, is washed away. Then they come back Monday, and you got to start all over. Curtis, what's on your heart, brother? Curtis, you there? Curtis may have stepped away for a second. Navy, talk to me.
Yes, sir. As far as the question about men and how they deal with their mental health, again, I have to agree because we tend to.
Now, don't you call us crazy now?
No, of course not. I would.
Okay, all right. Okay.
But I go back to the old social stigma of boys don't cry, men don't cry. And so when you grow up with that, uh, that 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 stigma of, okay, I as a man, I should not show emotion. If I fall and scrape my knee as a little boy, as a girl, it's okay for me to cry. But if my brother or my nephew was to fall and scrape their knee, then it's just like, you toughen up. What are we perpetuating whenever we do that? So we grow up. So my thought process is, because of that, as men, I think that y'all tend to carry that with you, to where it's just like, okay, I can't show emotion because I have to be the backbone, I have to be the man, and men don't have emotions. Well, you're not a robot. And I so wish that people would stop saying that, oh, well, you're coddling him, or you're not he's not going to be tough. Yes, he will. You have to be able to create an environment and a safe space to where your children, especially our male boys, are able to express emotion and understand, and in a healthy manner, rather than reacting to in anger, typically, because that's a blanket emotion. Under that anger, there's a whole host of other things that could really truly be the underlying condition as to the anger. Is it disappointment? Is it fear? Is it isolation? But anger is such a blanket emotion, and it's the most acceptable emotion that we all have, and especially for men to express, because I mean, you're not a man if you're not angry, if this doesn't make you angry. Well, what if I want to be angry? What if I want to shed a tear or something? You know? But I think that we have to get out of that roller coaster ride of boys don't cry, because they absolutely do. And it is so okay if y'all cry. I have to credit my uncle. He says something that, in a marriage, you have to be 80% female and 20% male. So you have to be in tune with your more emotional side, so to speak. And that is absolutely okay if you are, or when you become more attuned with yourself to do so.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Leonard, what's on your heart, brother? Leonard, you there? All right. Leonard may have stepped away for a second. Baz, you had a second part to your question.
So I'll give a scenario maybe that will also the deeper side of what I was talking about. I haven't drank alcohol in 10 years. And a friend I do know that he drinks. And I tell him, I've been clean and stuff, so I don't drink anymore. We've had these conversations, but we decided to go fishing or something together. To me, him being responsible to me is by not offering me any, or putting me in a situation where I have to worry about anything when it comes to that, or going back down a rabbit hole I don't need to go back down. Just as much as it is my responsibility to say yes or no. So it's, to me, learning to respect ourselves And in return, that does end up going into respecting the things that are around us, like what was mentioned earlier. Respond versus react. Most of the time when we're reacting to situations or reacting to something that's said, it's usually due to a trigger of some kind. Either a trigger because we're mentally different, or the triggers because of trauma related, or a taught behavior. And I'm a mental health advocate. I possibly might be working on getting a philosophy degree, because I'm very big into this stuff and always have been. One of my dreams is actually to have a nonprofit where counselors and therapists or whoever wants to volunteer to help the community helps the community. And it's just a nonprofit, so everything is just there for the people that want it and need it and have the availability, so that way they can work on their stuff.
You got 30 seconds, Badger. Do you have a question?
So in my question, because of the main teaching I hear the most when it comes to a lot of the mental health stuff is focus on yourself, focus on yourself, focus on yourself. Why has that become so prominent? I might be pronouncing that wrong, I'm sorry. So prominent in our society, yet the lack of understanding how community functions is not.
Navy?
That's a good question. And I think I think that exists because of like old school teaching of what therapy and counseling is versus more modern day. When they're thinking about self, because the ideology and the concept behind that is that, to some degree, or at least the best that I can understand, is that you can't control anything or anyone other than yourself. I think that's where that comes from. But again, you have to meet the client where he or she is and take into consideration how childhood, life, and everything in between has affected that person. And then take those pieces of information and not categorize, but what's the word that I'm looking for? Customize what a treatment plan may look like. Uh-oh.
No. We can speak on full screen.
Oh, I thought I had did something.
No, you good.
So I think that approach of just focusing on self is a very dated way of doing therapy, or at least it's not the way that I practice, or try not to practice. And it's very cookie cutter, I do believe, in my opinion. What works for one isn't going to work for the other. And the same approach that's taken at 9 o'clock is not going to be the same approach that's taken for the 10 o'clock person. So I think that's just a dated way of practicing and doing therapy, instead of truly meeting the individual where they are and then wrapping around them. Hopefully that made some sense.
It did. Cassandra.
Yes, sir.
Now, Cassandra, you've been knowing me for a long time. You know that there's a point in time in every conversation I got to just be silly, right? You know that, right? You know that. You know that.
Yeah.
Okay, you know that about me.
Yeah.
Cassandra, she just said the 9 o'clock ain't gonna work for the 10 o'clock. So you got different times of crazy.
Now, we don't use that term, crazy. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Oh, help me out.
We know what you're talking about, but yeah, we're not gonna use that term.
Okay.
Yes, she is exactly right. What's the one? Just think about it with your children. You shouldn't even deal with your children the same way all the time, because you may have one child that has a different type of needs than the other child. The same thing with counseling, therapists, whatever. She has to deal with everybody where they are.
So yeah, 9 o'clock is totally different from 10 o'clock and 12 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
So she has to, she has to model whatever needs A has, and then that's what she uses for A, and then B model may be something totally different. Thank you again for what you're doing, and I think you're amazing.
Good deal. Good deal. Rico, I must got twisted up a little bit there. Rico, help me understand, man, because I thought there was like a different times of, I don't know, man. I guess I'm just a little off centered. But what's on your heart, Rico?
Yeah, man, I just really went into my own thoughts, man, on this situation, man. So, first I'm gonna say this, I heard what Public Citizen said that about the aggression in men. And that is true. You know what I'm saying? We have this alpha thing where we have to be tough and we ain't supposed to be soft or take no loss, take no L. I grew up like that. I'm the type of person, you know what I'm saying? You put your hands on me, you ain't gonna go around and talk about whooping me. I'm coming back to get you. Especially being a grown man. So that's that ego thing that comes with a man. But to say that we are any worse than women, I would beg to differ a little bit because I see an epidemic of a new phenomenon here lately of women killing their children. Can I finish?
No, somebody was saying something in the background. Go ahead.
I'm seeing an epidemic of women killing their children. So I'm gonna say this: hurt people hurt more vulnerable people. Because if you notice, that boy that shot up that school, they say he was bullied. Why didn't he go shoot his bullies? So people don't normally go and take out the things on their bullies. Every now and then you find somebody got molested by a Catholic priest, they go back and get them. But for the most part, hurt people or victims victimize other vulnerable people. They don't go back and molest their molesters. They go and turn somebody else's child out. So, that seems to be the cycle and the habit that we have to understand goes on with this mental illness and disability and all this mental health things is going on, dysfunctional behavior. That was me that said that about the learned behavior earlier, DC Mom.
Okay.
And so it's deep, man. I really think about the fact that it takes an empath to do what Navy is doing. It takes an empath to do what Rosalind is doing. And an empath, sometimes they pay attention to people and to things that the majority of the average person doesn't. Sometimes an empath can walk up on a person and look in their eyes and just have a few conversations with them and tell everything that's going on in their household. I've met people before and was able to tell they were touched or molested when they were young and was able to tell who did it. And never knew them in my life, because you have to be able to observe other people and get outside of yourself. See, so I think human beings are so self-indulged right now to the point to where we don't even realize we're walking around a lot of people that need therapy, a lot of people that suffer from PTSD for whatever reason. They ain't had to go to war. The war might have been at home. And in the process of that, we meet these people, have sex with them, try to get to know them and have relationships with them because they put on makeup, they put on lipstick, and they dress it up. They have money. They dive into their career. Their career is their coping mechanism. But we don't know they're sick like Jeff Epstein.
Wow.
We don't know, so it takes time to sit back and actually get outside of the material desires that we have and start back thinking about relating to each other as human beings, and then understanding and seeing how we are actually functioning. Because if you look around at what people desire, if you look at what people value more than anything, you will notice a lot of people are out of order. More people value money than life. Like I said earlier, it's easier to break into a school and kill children, but you can't break into a prison.
Good deal. Good deal. Got to keep this thing. Hold on. We got to keep staying within the three women and one. You put some stuff out there, brother, and I definitely appreciate it. Let me go to our Tucson. We only got a few more minutes. I want to touch a few more people before we get out of here. Tucson, what's on your heart, brother? Tucson,
I will not. There are some things that I don't know if it's because of old school or whatever you want to call it, but there are some things that as a male man that I will not do because I see a trend that's happening. Men are becoming weaker. And women are the strong man.
Mm.
And I ain't backing up to now one of you. Period.
And then run and tell that.
I don't mean that in an offensive way. But for years and years and years, especially in our community, somebody has made a decision to omit us. And we fell for it. Hook, line, and sinker. And I don't want to be offensive, but if it offends you, there it is. There's a lot of men with bent wrists walking around because they are 80% women. I didn't mean anything by what I said, but I heard that. And I will not be 80% women no kind of way, baby. Too. And I don't mean that in an ugly way. But we have
Lord. You never know what's
I mean, come on now. And I understand what you're saying, and I really do. I'm not ignorant. I may play stupid. I may play ignorant, but I'm not. But I'm watchful as we get smart and we get dangerous to our own selves. We're self-destructive.
Yeah.
In the worst kind of way. To the point where we're not raising children, we're raising demons.
Wow.
That are mean and nasty and ugly, and you can't tell them nothing. You have your own self-will, and even God, we say, go to hell.
Good Lord.
And that's dangerous for a whole society. I'm sorry. I mean, hey, I'm telling you. People ain't studying. You can take your Jesus and your Holy Ghost and you can throw it all. This is what mankind has done.
Yeah, Tucson.
And we're hurting ourselves. And we don't even know it.
Tucson, you planning on being in the corner for the whole weekend until Monday, man? You must be planning on being in the corner for the whole weekend all the way up until Monday.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay, I'm just saying.
Indeed, I'll stay there and I'll take Cassandra with me.
And you're gonna have to, because she's gonna act up just like you.
Sure will.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he's gonna be preaching the Sunday service from your corner, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, Rico. That's it. You got it. You don't figure them out. Let me go to Friday. What's on your heart, sis? Friday. Friday, are you there? Wake up and go to sleep. Wake up and go to sleep. K with an E, what's on your heart? Give me a quick version.
My quick version, tell Cassandra. I've been there, but I went to see a counselor while I was talking to the counselor. I literally worked with mentally ill for years. And that 9 o'clock, like the lady said, 9 o'clock ain't they 10 o'clock, and they 10 o'clock ain't they 11 o'clock. I'm dealing with one right now, and she's diagnosed with schizo. And I thank God for being here for her. She just lost her sister. She's trying to bury her today. And she called me at 4 this morning, and she was going through. She didn't want to take no medicine or nothing. I said, baby, please take it. I'm out car in the shop. I can't even get to you. I prayed, and she took her medication, and she calmed down. So I definitely understand all of it. And when I went to Dr. I said, I'm watching a movie, and I just busted out crying when the sad part came. Ain't nothing wrong with you, Cassandra. You just got feelings. That's what the doctor told me. You just got feelings. And it touched an emotional part of something that went on in your life and made you cry. And I told him I can deal with that. And it did. It was my mother.
Wow.
So I understand it.
Rico, what's going on at 3 o'clock today, brother? We got to touch on this. This is the topic we got to touch on. There's so many different levels in this thing. Rosalind, hold on, Rico. Rosalind got something on her heart right now. Rosalind, what's on your heart, sis? Talk to me.
I just want to Navy had to go because she had clients backing up, and I just wanted to say that she wanted to thank you all for allowing her to come on and give her version of how she deal with mental health. She has a passion for it, and I just pray that more therapists that get in the profession has a heart like her and Curtis and Miss Cassandra and the many others, because we need more passionate people to get in that profession.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Rico, what's going on at 3 o'clock today, sir?
If you missed today's broadcast and would like to see the rebroadcast in its entirety, you can tune in at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on www.dkmmediagroup.com.
Good deal. Good deal. Cassandra. Cassandra.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Pray us out, please.
Father, we just thank you right now for your goodness and your mercy. We thank you for everything that has been said and done on today. God, I ask you to cover the young lady that is a therapist, God. Continue to give her the heart for your people, God, and for people, God. And all of us need to be more aware, Father. Give us the heart that we would be concerned about those around us. They don't have to be family, God. They don't have to be friends, but concerned about their mental health. That if we see something and we can say something that might help that person and others around them, God, give us that heart and mind to do so. Now, we thank you for every member of this panel, God. I ask you to bless them, use them in their unique and special way. We ask you to continue to bless Raheem and DKM Media. We honor you, God, regardless of our differences of opinions. We honor you, God, on this show. And we thank you for everything that you're about to do and everything that you've done. These and all other blessings we ask and pray in the precious and holy name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen.
And I want everybody to know that if you're not busy this Sunday, make sure you come out. We have the Redeemed Awards. It's gonna be this Sunday from 6 o'clock until we're done. From 6 o'clock until we're done. But it's going to be and it'll probably end about 9:30, 10 o'clock at the latest. But yeah, if you get an opportunity to come on out, it's gonna be here in the Atlanta area. Actually gonna be in Snellville. It's the Redeemed Awards. There's some great people that's gonna be honored. There's some amazing entertainment, food, and everything is included. It's gonna be catered very nicely. So if you're free and if you're able to come out and have a good time with us. It's called the Redeemed Award. This Sunday from 6 o'clock, doors open at 5 o'clock. So make sure if you can make your way this way, let's have fun together. Let's honor some great people. They've done some great things and they've allowed God to take the wheel and to get them to where they are right now. So let's come out and honor them because they deserve to be honored just as well. Leonard, you have anything on your heart, brother, before we get out of here? Leonard, wake up and go to sleep. Wake up and go to sleep. It is now 10:04. I want to thank everybody for joining us. And more than that, I want to thank you for allowing DKM Media Group and Associates and the Morning Glow for being a part of your day. It is now 10:04. You're about to exit the Morning Glow. But before you go, I want you to do me two favors, if you will. One, I want you to continue to pray for us because we're certainly praying for each and every one of you. Number two, why this is real simple. I want you to go out there, find somebody, and give them a hug. Because you never know. It could be the only hug that they get, or it could very well be their last. Love you, and ain't nothing you can do about it. Have a great day and a better tomorrow. And then we shine some of this light on you from the Morning Glow. Take it out there into this wicked and cruel world that we live in, and let your light so shine. If you get an opportunity, give somebody some love. You just might find some love in return. Won't that be a beautiful thing? Have a great day. Take care of each other, and please, please, please. Be blessed.
Goodbye.